Hey everybody, welcome back to the CAF Plus channel. It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon here, Saturday morning, I'm sure for many of you, and maybe Saturday evening if you're watching from Europe. But we've got a good show here for you today. First time guest is going to be J Gonzo. He's been pretty hot of late. We're going to be looking at a lot of covers for sale when we get to the sale portion of the show. But this is his first time on the show, so it's going to be a fun get to know this creator who was based in Phoenix. So let me bring him into the show and get this thing rolling. How's it going, Gonzo?
Good, man. How you doing today?
I'm not too bad. I
Right
mean,
on.
it's funny. It's bringing you on into the studio like this right now. I'm reminded. I was like cruising through your Twitter, X, whatever, the other night, and I remember like a different view of your studio space. And you got art on the walls everywhere that I could see.
Oh yeah,
Is
absolutely. Yeah. I want a creative space that just makes me feel good when I walk in.
huh?
Like my job is to be inspired every day, and so I want a bunch of stuff that that I enjoy looking at. I don't have a whole lot of like even my own artwork. It's all just stuff that like makes me smile. Like I recently after 20 years of looking, I recently hunted down a vintage 1970s Radine 24-inch tall Radine toy, and I can see it just beyond my monitor, and so
Yes.
I can just like look up and see it and smile because it's like it was a 20-year hunt to find that thing because I had the 24-inch Mazinger that I wanted the matching set. I wanted Mazinger and Radine, and man, everyone's got Mazinger, everyone's got Garada, but nobody has Radine, and after 20 freaking years, I found it. So stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff like that, just like stuff that took me a while to hunt down, or stuff that like really brought me joy when I found it, and just being able to like feel the energy of creativity coming off of like I got like a Jim Rugg piece like right behind me, and like
Right.
Rugg's a guy who makes me feel lazy every day. That guy does so much work. It's like I just see I see a Jim Rugg piece, and there's another piece I have over there that like it just it's like get to work, man. Like basically that's my like that guy has time to do like brilliant work all the time and so much of it, and I'm like, yep, I gotta get pencil and paper here. I gotta get moving. So it's just I wanted to I finally got an external studio 5-6 years ago, and I really wanted to make it a place that would be a creative engine for me and not just a repository of my stuff.
That's cool. I mean, I can say that there's some interviews I do where there's no art on the walls, and but yours I knew was just so unique. The colors pop, and yeah, I remember there was a view from like the old version of your studio to the new version of the studio, and that's where
Oh,
I could see like the toy shelf, right?
oh yeah. I had to like rebuild the desk. I had bought like a desktop, a decade ago, and I finally it was just finally starting to sag, and it wasn't really great, and kind of I got busy, I got really busy, and so I needed a more efficient way to like transition from pencil on paper and ink over to digital and vice versa. And I do a lot of the stuff I end up going into the computer is still done by hand. So like all of the shading I do on my pieces in color,
Mm.
I do those by hand. Like I lay a sheet of paper over my originals, and I'll do like where the hatch marks are and stuff that are going to be in color, scan them in, and then marry them to the original art in the computer. So I just I really do a lot more by hand now that everything's kind of shifted more digital. Like I definitely like a lot more hand hewn feel to the art that I make, and I needed a better setup to make that happen because I just wasn't that busy before. So I could kind of like, oh, I'll just do this step, and then I'll take a go get lunch or whatever and come back and do the other. Now it's like I got to jump between steps like without seamless transitions now, because streamlining my process without sacrificing any of the quality is kind of the hallmark by which I'm trying to make everything happen.
Well, you certainly have been busy. I mean, on the cover side of things, it seems like you're doing a couple a month for the last, I don't know, can we say 2 years? It seems like it may
Yeah.
be that long or a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think I'm on track to have like 30 covers come out this year, possibly. I think I'm going to edge toward 40, like I think from January to January. So when we get to January, I think I'll have like 30 some odd covers that have come out in a 12-month period. Yeah,
Wow.
I definitely, it's, listen, we're talking about, being a freelancer. It's when the getting's good, you got to do it. I'm not going to say no, cause I know that it could all go away tomorrow, so, and this is the exact kind of busy I wanted to be my entire life. And so, just trying to make it all happen. Oh, what's up, Ed? Sorry. Psycho.
Are you familiar with Ed
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
collector? Yeah.
No, he's a
All
friend.
right.
Yeah, he's a friend. He's local. He's been to the studio. He comes by. Like,
That's
yeah, when
right.
he
He
buys
is.
stuff from me. Yeah.
All right. No, I forgot that he's in Phoenix as well. So, uh, well, let's talk a little bit about you. I mean, how you got into this. You know, you've been at the profession of
Mhm.
creative arts for a long time,
Yes.
but how do you transition from ad agencies, tattoo work
Uh,
to how does all that lead up to where you're at today? So, give me a little bit of the backstory.
so I think I always wanted to be a comic book artist. Like I, very early on in my life, like probably like my dad used to tell a great story about me just kind of deciding to be a comic artist. Like I was going to be an illustrator at 4 years old. Like he just thought it was great. Like that I made a career decision at 4 that I stubbornly stuck with. So that was always the plan. Always loved drawing. The typical like when I should have been doing schoolwork, I was drawing stuff. All of that. I ended up getting into the Orange County High School of the Arts when I went to high school, and they kind of poo-pooed the idea of comics. Like it was very much trash art. I started in like 1988. I started high school, and comics had no respectability. And
Hmm.
so like I was trained to be a fine artist as opposed to but it was like multidisciplinary. Like I learned a lot of different ways of making art, but it was always like kind of fine art and stuff. And then as I got older and my friends started graduating, I kind of saw them try to fit into the kind of gallery scene of LA in like the early 1990s. And it seemed like way more political than I could ever handle. And then I also ended up moving to Arizona because my folks had moved here a year before I did. I spent a year on my own in LA, and it's a bad town to be broke in. So I just decided to like move back in with my parents. And yeah, I was like, trying to be like a literally starving artist out there in LA for a year, and just was like, nope, I'm going to go move with my folks and get a degree in what we used to call commercial art, so graphic design. Because I
Hmm.
thought, I could be creative and I will, be able to pay the bills and get like a jobby job type job. And so, got my degree in graphic design and like literally, and I also like the idea of being able to like make my comics, like having the skills to like just go from illustration to like actually making a physical book. Like learning that in
Right,
graphic
right.
design was very appealing.
Well,
I kind of,
during that point, right there, the late '80s, early '90s, when you're going
Mhm.
to school, you're kind of transitioning from like more of the manual graphic design and the
Oh,
things that they're teaching you
Oh yeah,
into
yeah.
the
I've
just the
burned
beginning
myself on a
of
waxer
the
for sure. Like I know how to
right.
use a stat camera. I know how to order type from a type
Hmm.
house. I know how to like use amber lit, cut overlays, use a French curve, rapidographs, all of that. Yeah, so I can calculate out VLOXs and line screen angles, and I used to I learned Photoshop. So we learned all of that. I learned how to like burn the shit out of my hands on a waxer. And like manually making physical artboards, and then we learned the computers because Photoshop was new. But I also learned like
Right.
all this. Like I learned PageMaker and freehand, and I learned Quark was because there was
Or
no InDesign yet, all of that stuff. And I remember thinking like, well, what did we learn all that other stuff? But all of those programs are really basic. Like you had to manually trap everything in Illustrator. You had to set like strokes to overprint, fills to
oh
knock
yeah,
out,
I
make
worked in
sure there was.
pre-press in
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. So you know
from
all about yeah, yeah,
'91 to '93. So yeah,
yeah, yeah.
putting
So you're
strokes on
all
lines in Illustrator is
yeah, yeah,
what it's
like
all
you're
about.
out there like making match prints and stuff from film, and
Right.
someone's like, "Oh, someone set their
Yeah.
white to overprint." So guess what happens? Nothing came
Hmm.
out, right? So yeah, I was I've used a loop before. Like I
Yeah.
definitely I learned all of that, and then we learned Photoshop, and you used to have to go in there and like manually set your screen angles so you wouldn't get moire patterns, or you would have to
Hmm.
get consult with your printer because there were no rips back then too, so there was no interface between you and so whatever you made came out regardless if you messed it up or not. And there was no like conservation of inks and stuff because there's no digital like massive digital printing yet. It was all still offset lithography if you were doing anything of volume. And so yeah, but going into Photoshop and like setting your black to 90 and your white, your yellow to 0, and then like 65 and 87.5 or some shit. Like I just remember having to like do all of that pre-press, or when you'd send something out, like convert all your type to outlines, make sure no kerning got screwed up, make sure your black is all 100% black and not a built black because you don't want it shifting. All of that stuff was done by hand, and then we learned it all on the computer. So I felt very confident in being able to like make stuff because we were literally making stuff and not just making stuff that looked good. We made stuff that printed good. And so, and like literally the day like within a week of getting my degree, I got offered a tattoo apprenticeship. And I was like, oh, I like kind of the idea of being this sort of pirate out in the world, like not really having a job, but having a job. And, and tattooing at the time was very much marginalized. Like, grandmas weren't getting tattooed back in the day. It was all, you know, I, I got in just after the kind of hangover of certain groups that controlled tattooing in certain cities. And so
Mhm.
there was a little bit of that. You know, my shop didn't have to pay tax to any particular group, but there were still shops that did, that, you know, kind of had different status than we did. So it was still, you know, nominally legal when we were doing it, but it got way more respectable in my time there. So I did that. It actually got me back in. So, you know, I was reading comics my whole life until, like, you know, you get to college and it's just hard to keep up on it. So I was going to design school. I was still doing trying to make comic art work, you know, with my graphic design degree and stuff. But my, like, every day, you know, every week buying stuff really wasn't happening for a couple of years there. And then I got that apprenticeship, and we were like 3 doors down from Greg's Comics in Mesa, and which is a great shop in Mesa, Arizona. And the guy who apprenticed me was a comic reader, and so as part of my apprenticeship, he would send me to go get his books every Wednesday. So I'm in a shop every Wednesday. I'm grabbing his books. I'm reading the stuff that he's you know, he's reading, and then I'm getting my own stuff. And that kind of third wave image was happening, maybe second wave. So it's like, you know, there was the initial founders did everything, and then kind of their studios did like, you know, guys who were in their studios. So your Joe Benitez's from Mark Silvestri's studio. Now he was doing projects and stuff. And then there was that third wave where people kind of outside of that came in, and you know, like Jason Pearson's was doing body bags, and I remember picking that up. And I think Sin City was just kind of firing up right then, and it was just like the kind of spirit of independent comics, like, really got me into, you know, back into what was happening. And so I started reading comics again every day. I started, you know, again, and then a couple years into tattooing, I met an old friend from high school who was inking at Top Cow, and he was looking at the work I was doing, because I was doing a lot more comic drawing, because I was reading comics every day. And he was like, "Dude, we could totally get you a job. You should come with me to this convention that's happening in June." He was like, "Cool," and that just so happened to be San Diego Comic-Con, like 1998. And I got to tell you, man, you know, people who go to San Diego Comic-Con will appreciate this. We rolled up the day of the show with no passes and no hotel, and we managed to go in. He showed off comics that had his name in the inside, and then got his professional badge for free. And then the person giving him his badge goes, "Are you a pro too?" And my buddy just goes, "Yeah." And they just gave me a badge as a pro for free. That's all I had to do. Like, I never had to prove my professional status. And then,
Wow.
And then we went and found a hotel and we also parked across the street too, like right across the street from on the railroad tracks, like, for, you know, like $10 or something like that. It was just, and then we went and found a hotel that was kind of far away, in that it was like 3/4 of a mile away. And you know, I think we paid like $100, a little over $100 a night for this like Motel 6 that was there. It was insane. And then that just started me trying to like get work. And, you know, I got a lot of positive feedback that initial year there, and then just kind of was always on the margins of comics, like working, you know, as a tattoo artist. And then I had a kid. So I dusted off my graphic design portfolio to get a job in advertising. And so those are just jobs like you don't get to quit too. I always say that, you know, being a tattoo artist is a lot like being an auto mechanic or a drug dealer. Like, when your friends know you can do it, they don't let you stop doing it. So I would still like tattoo on the weekends, you know.
So you set something up in your garage, or
I would go into shops that people I knew. Like,
okay.
yeah, I would just like go have them meet me at like my buddy's shop, and I would tattoo there. And that's kind of how I work now when I do tattoo. Like, I just go to my friend's shop and tattoo. It's just easier than setting up in my studio or even at home. But I have done my fair share of like in someone's kitchen, you know, like tattooing them and stuff. I used to do that for San Diego Comic-Con. I would go to out to, you know, Orange County, LA, where I'm from, and I would tattoo like 6 or 7 people over the course of like 2 days, and then I would take all of that money to San Diego with me to pay for my San Diegos, and then sometimes tattoo in San Diego a bit. Yeah, it's a good skill to have. You can trade a lot for it. So yeah, so I did that for a while. I ended up getting a job as a graphic designer for Todd McFarlane in 2004, and that really got me into like the idea. Like, then I was part of the industry, and I was doing like, you know, occasional little spot illustration stuff here and there, you know, for comics or ads or what have you. And then when that job ended in 2008, I had started a project for Todd, and had put a lot of time and effort into it. And then when I left, I was like, "Hey man, are you going to do anything with this? If not, I would love to do something with it." And it was actually a version of like Lucha Spawn. And Todd was like, "Nah," like he didn't have the head to finish it, because he's not a, like, you know, Latino, like he doesn't understand like lucha libre. So he's like, "Nah, you can have it." So I just took it, filed out the serial numbers, changed some of the darker aspects of it because I didn't want it. I wanted it to be like dumb and fun. And that ultimately became like, well, that was first, it was my calling card, like walking around trying to like get work. I would, go to the show and I'd have like 10, 12 pages of this, like what ultimately became Mano del Destino. And then I was just encouraged by a lot of publishers, a lot of editors that I like a lot to like self-publish it. They're like, we just have like, we don't know how to promote this. We don't have room for it in our schedule, but this is cool. You should really do it. One of which was Bob Schreck. Like he really like, I went to like kind of follow up with him after we'd had a meeting and talked and stuff. And then he actually read the book and then he came back and he was like, he like pulled me over into like a corner where we could like talk seriously and uninterrupted. And he was just very passionately like, dude, this is really cool. This needs to be in the world. You need to self-publish this. And I was like, okay. Like I was really kind of taken aback by how like emphatic he was about it. And then I went and talked to my buddy, Larry Martyr is a really good friend of mine. So I went and talked to Larry Martyr, who'd always been my kind of comic guru. Like, because he's a guy who's come up through advertising. He's made his own comics. Like he's a dude who's I admire a lot, has a great deal of knowledge in the industry. And so I talked to Larry and I was like, yeah, Bob Schreck really says I should, I should self-publish this. And Larry's doing a sketch or something. And he kind of like, yeah, you should. And it's like, I don't know, it just seems like a lot of work. And then like Larry put down his work and like made direct eye contact. He's like, look, dude, you'll figure it out. If you have questions, you have my number. And I'm like, oh yeah. Like I know the former president of Image Comics. Like I could just call him if I need help. So I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I'll just do that. So I started self-publishing.
Did you call him?
Many times. Yeah, for sure. I still do. Like I still on occasion, he just knows he's my guru. And so I'll just text him like, hey man, I need to climb the mountain and talk to the guru. And he's like, is now good? I'm like, sure. And then we'll just talk on the phone. Yeah, I mean, I just, my basic overall approach to like my career has just been do whatever Larry tells me I should do. Like he's a guy you should listen to. Like he understands kind of, because he's written that line of like, indie publisher, self-publisher to like president of Image Comics to president of McFarlane Toys. He's consulted with like, he's been a consultant at like, I think Blizzard for a while or Wizards of the Coast, one of those. Like he's like a guy who's just been around, like who understands. And he's, he was working, what was it, like Moondogs in Chicago. He was like their ad guy forever and stuff. So he understands the business of it and the art of it. Like he's a guy who's right. Like, his creative vision on what he does is so specific to him that and the integrity that he's maintained doing that's a guy whose career I would love to mimic because he's managed to like, be a part of bigger things, but also maintain the vision of what he was trying to do. And so a lot of what I've done in comics has been, my comic itself was like a reaction to the way that my culture was being portrayed in pop culture and media. And so there's a lot of ethical expression in what I do. And that's the thing that ultimately got me noticed too, is, when I finished up my series, I did a Kickstarter for a bilingual book. And then I just finished a book for Top Cow, and Top Cow was like, oh, do you want to do like English only for the direct market through Image and Top Cow? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So we did that. And so, for the first time in like a decade, my books were out being sold without me handing it to someone. So people who I didn't know were buying my books. And and
that had to feel good, right? I mean,
oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's like, having the Image eye on your book just feels good as an indie creator, as a guy who like was hand selling books for like, I think at that point, like 9-10 years. To have it in a bookshelf, people sending me photos from like their comic shop, like, and it just sitting next to other comics just felt so like, like I'd done it. Like that felt like a real, like, well, it's not going to get any better than this. And I just didn't know, it was just like that seemed like the kind of, as a guy doing like lucha libre comics in a like 60s house style, that are like super Chicano, for a very Chicano Latino audience, just having an Image book felt like the top of the mountain. Like that was as good as it was going to get. But, Nick Nino over at IDW saw, like, he just saw the look of the book and like the colors and the vibrance of it all, picked it up on a whim, and then found me at a con like a few months later and was like, to get me to sign it. It's like, hey man, I assistant editor on the Turtles. Would you like to do a Ninja Turtle cover? And as an independent guy, like you hear that stuff all the time. I've taken so many cards of people who want to work with me. Everybody loves me. Everybody can't wait to work with me. Nobody has a
nobody follows up, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, yeah, sure. And then, I got the job doing the Turtles. And then, putting my spin on those was like such a at first I drew like a very safe kind of, and it ended up going with it. I did this very safe kind of all the four turtles like on a rooftop kind of thing. And then I realized like, oh man, like the only thing this guy's ever seen me do is La Mano, which is like super bright and vibrant and very Chicano. I should probably do something like that for the turtles. And so I was like, oh, we should do like Day of the Dead Skulls for the turtles. And so that started that. The turtles are what got me. Thanks, man. Yeah, thanks, Jack. The turtles are what got me noticed by Marvel, and then Marvel was like, hey, can you do stuff for us? And then I did the Robbie Reyes Day of the Dead Skull cover for them. And then Marvel really allowed me to like kind of branch out and do stuff. Like I ended up doing Scrooge McDuck covers, and I really got to like Ghost Rider covers and Moon Knight covers and all kinds of stuff, and aliens and Predators, and yeah, so
Godzilla.
Got to do Godzilla. Well, Godzilla I did for IDW, not the Marvel Godzilla. Okay, yes. Yeah. Yeah, there are two Godzillas happening like right now. There's the and I don't know if it's like different eras, like the Showa era versus the whatever. But I don't know. I don't know how the separation is, but I do Godzilla for IDW, which is Showa era. I think that's the era. Yeah, because I'm always told to make him look like a guy in a suit. Like they don't want him to be a monster. They don't want like musculature and stuff. They want it to look like a guy in a suit, which is real fun to draw. But yeah, it's just really opened up doors for me. And then yeah, that was just like another level of like, oh, I guess I'm doing Marvel covers now. And that was like a whole other like, I mean, the turtles were like another level on top of it, and then Marvel, and then real recently with like doing all of the dork covers that I ended up doing, and that has like opened me up to like a whole new audience of people. And it just, yeah, I'm reluctant to say like, well, this has to be as good as it gets, because it just keeps getting better and busier.
But I saw you had a pretty busy schedule at this year's San Diego, right?
Yeah. I ended up, I was doing like a Danny Trejo cover, which was cool. Like, there's stuff like that, like where I'm just like, well, surely I've done everything I could do in comics. And then someone's like, oh, hey, do you want to do a cover for a Danny Trejo book and do a signing with Danny? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm not going to say no to that. Everyone loves Danny Trejo. And that was another level. Like I've been to San Diego, like I work for Todd McFarlane. And so we would have celebrities there. And so I've done a lot of like kind of the more backstagey celebrity stuff where I'm just escorting guests, to and from. Mm-hmm. And I've seen the kind of backstagey bowels of San Diego and the kind of celebrity, secret tunnels and stuff. Man, dealing with Danny Trejo, I got to see like there's an even more secret world that exists there that I got to go be a part of. And I was just like, I didn't even know this stuff existed back here. And it was, it's amazing how many people love that guy. I mean, like I love that guy. So that's why, I mean, I was beyond busy when they asked me to do the cover, but I'm like, I'm going to like lose sleep over this. I'm literally just going to stay up nights and make sure that this can happen for him. So yeah, that was cool. And I did a couple of great panels. We did a panel on like, Latino creators panel, which is fantastic. Like I got to be on a panel with Jorge Gutierrez, the guy who created El Tigre and Maya and the Three and stuff. And that's a guy like I've admired forever. We've kind of slowly become friends over the past couple of decades, and like being on a panel, like next to that guy on a panel and like talking about like our culture as part of like, the broader kind of media landscape and like where we fit in and the kind of like our ethos and stuff was like, yeah, it's, I mean, it's weird to have stuck to my guns this closely and like, and have it all kind of like have the industry kind of come to me. It was like, that's, I think the weirdest part, because I'm just stubborn, like I just I was only going to do it my way. I wasn't going to sell out to like, to make money or stuff. I just wanted to do the things that I thought needed to be like in the world. And yeah, man. And it somehow, just after like refusing to give up, the kind of industry kind of, moved to embrace me. And it's been a hell of a ride. So yeah, that's that. Yeah, there's the history, I guess, is in a long-winded way of saying all that.
But how did you kind of keep the passion for comics when you're working at ad agencies? I mean, after, it just seems like you really had to keep doing stuff on the side, right? I mean, because we were talking a little bit in the green room beforehand about just the grind, the kind of robotic approach to corporate life in an ad agency, and then and what you're doing is quite different than that. Working from home and getting to work on so many different projects, whether it's a Conan cover, Godzilla versus LA, or a Ninja Turtle cover. It's just a different mindset and things. I mean, so how did you kind of keep that passion while you were going through the process of kind of dealing with the corporate design world?
The kind of cheesy but honest answer is that like that's where I got to be free. You know,
Yeah.
when I'm making comics, or I mean, when I'm doing advertising, there is there's an obligation to move the needle, right? I have an objective, right? Like my job is to sell work that works, right? So I'm like distilling brands down to their brand promise and their ethos and their brand pillars, and I'm executing against those to create a narrative in the consumer's mind that when they think and feel about my clients, they're thinking and feeling in a way that I would like them to, that ultimately builds goodwill and engagement in whatever metric that needs to be. But it is, it's a puzzle to solve. And advertising work is never about what I like. Design work is never about what I like. It's about what's going to work. And so, sussing out what will work, what can work, what the targets are before I start selecting arrows and stuff, like that's all. It's fun in a different way, like that kind of problem solving. But comics are just, it's artistic expression. It's like, expressing my inner world and wrestling with my own kind of inner turmoils on the page and kind of working out the kind of stories that I want to tell in the manner that I want to tell them, and being accountable to no one. I mean, I've been a part of other comic pitches with like, a writer or an inker or what have you. And it's been like one cog in the kind of like production line comics, and they just always fell apart, because you're relying on the interest and availability of other people who have entire lives and motivations beyond, your control. And so, when it came time to do like, what was ultimately going to be Lucha Spawn, but then became La Mano del Destino, is I had subject matter in an area in which no one around me had any kind of expertise that superseded mine or authority that did, right? Even if I had done it for Todd's not going to tell me how Lucha Libre works because he doesn't understand it. So I really I kind of, maybe it might have started as just like, oh, this would be dumb fun, to like, oh, this is an area where like I get to be the expert and I get to be the arbiter of what goes into it, because nobody can outdo me in this. And then I when I got to do it on my own, then I put even more of myself in there. It became this love letter to everything I loved about my culture, everything I loved about 60s comics, everything I love about design and like mid-century modern, architecture and styles and stuff. And so it was just me on the page. And then I had really set myself aside from everything else that was happening, because no one's going to be able to out me. And I maybe accidentally got there, but then I leaned into it pretty heavily. And then ultimately what got me, work beyond the stuff I was producing for myself was me being me, and so, when I was 20 something and going to cons and trying to work for Marvel, like I got a portfolio review there and stuff, and at DC as well. And I would say between my Marvel portfolio review and my DC portfolio review, I really learned that I really learned to get a proper assessment of who I was. And when I talked to Marvel, I would have done anything. I would have drawn like anybody. You want me to draw like, an Erzatz Chris Picciardo, I'll make that happen. If you want me to draw like, my greatest attempt at Art Adams, like I'll give that a shot. Like I'll do whatever it takes just to get into comics. And then by the time I got to DC and I met with like Mark Chiarello, when I sat down with Chiarello, because they did that thing where you drop stuff off and they would review them and they would invite people back to talk to people. And there's as many as like 6 editors, and some people would talk to like 4, 5, 6 editors. I had one guy who wanted to talk to me, was Mark Chiarello. And I sat down and I was like, hey man, look, I realize I'm not I'm never going to draw like Batman or JLA, but if you had some weird side project that involved like the Creeper or whatever, like I could kind of do something weird into the side. And like Chiarello was like, oh good, I thought I was gonna have to explain that to you, but and then we could just bullshit about it. So Chiarello was he was early on the Gonzo bandwagon. Like that guy was a champion of mine very early on. And, I love everything that guy's ever
he's
done.
furthered a lot of creatives careers for sure. And I'm sure great advice. I mean, he's an amazing guy.
Yeah, he was awesome. Yeah, so but anyway, and at that point, I just kind of I learned that like the more I can make it personal and love what I do, the more people will sense the love coming off of it. Like I think the better part of what I sell is the affection for what I'm doing, as opposed to like any technical acumen or draftsmanship. Like it's really it's my passion for the thing. Like the love I put into it is basically what I think people respond to. And so I just learned to like really lean into that when it came to, you know, making my own comics and then doing stuff for even Marvel or you know, or Dark Horse or IDW, whoever. It's just like,
Right.
I gotta find a way to like get my heart into it more than my hand or my head. And I think I do okay at it. Like I you know, I can trick myself into
Right. Well,
it.
I think it seems like when you did, I mean, look where you've been at the last 24
Yeah.
months. Right? I mean, just very busy. People see it, and it's hard not to notice it, notice the joy you put into it. I mean, the colors pop, the art's unique. It's
Mhm.
very graphic. It's grounded in design. Like there's so much the structure to things. I mean, when we talk about art on the channel a lot, it's always about like the flow and well-structured pages are the things that catch your eye as a thumbnail. Your work does that, right? Because it's
Mhm.
already graphic to begin with, and then to go in and then look at the fine details is what's fun about it. And then the colors, of course, catch your eye. I mean, it's almost impossible
Yeah,
not to
yeah.
see one of your pieces on a bookshelf and say, and just you're gonna look at it. You have to. So, I mean, and I'm sure the publishers and the people that you're working with see that and that just makes them want to work with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I spent 30 years in advertising. And so I've always viewed when I'm hired by a company to do a cover for them, I'm on the marketing team now. Cause like my job is to grab someone's attention long enough for them to pick the book up and go, oh, what is this? Like that is like 90% of selling a comic is just to get it in the hands of someone and like get them to want to open the cover up. And so like I'm always trying to like use all of my, my advertising skills, my design skills, even my tattoo skills, and then like kind of my cultural sensibilities of like color usage and what have you to grab attention, get their interest, and then make them care, right? Like that's
Hmm.
kind of like first you got to make them interested, and then you got to make them care, like but I think that those kind of dynamic design decisions happen on such a visceral level that it bypasses any kind of like logic and stuff. Like people just react to a lot of the stuff that I do. And I mean, I've seen it at shows too, especially an underserved community like the Latino community. Like I've been at shows where like I see this like Latino people walking by and they literally just out of the corner of the eye will just kind of catch the color palette of all my stuff and just stop because it hits them in a place they didn't realize was underserved. And then they walk over and like, what is this? And that's those are great moments. But I mean that is kind of my job is to like get someone in the cacophony of visual noise that is a comic shop to just kind of go like, oh, what is that? Like, get their attention, in various ways. But
Hmm.
I think a lot of that is being a little bit of counter programming to everything else that they're going to see,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be looking at, I think we have 19 lots today, and most of them are covers.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'd say like three-quarters of the covers come with like a prelim. It's a full-size prelim, and everybody should know these aren't 11 by 17 boards by and large. The covers are all on 18 by 24, so they're huge, and
Yes.
the prelims are huge. So before we show any artwork, I was hoping we could talk a little bit about your process on some of these pieces because I remember I think like the first piece we're going to end up offering today is the cover to the art book,
Oh yeah.
and I remember looking again
Oh
back
yeah. Yeah.
on your feed where it seems this is even more work than I thought would have gone into it. I mean, you've got a small thumbnail, you've got different iterations going on here. So talk a little bit about the process before you kind of actually put brush or pen to paper.
So in that image, the smallest one is my thumbnail, and I work on these little pads that I have. I have like one here. I don't know. And I just buy them at Staples. I think they're, let me see, what size are these damn things? I think they're 3x7 or 5x7, maybe. I don't know. They're comic book proportion. They are 4x6. So little 4x6 pads. And when a cover is going to mostly have bilateral symmetry, I'll just fold it in half and then I'll draw half of it. And I'll fold it over on occasion just to make sure that my proportions aren't getting weird. Like you can see kind of like real light, like the half that's not drawn, you can see like kind of like very lightly there's some marks just to kind of make sure that my proportions were good. So I'll draw half of it, kind of make sure that it's going to work. And then I will scan that in and then I'll blow it up to an 11 by 17 size. And the piece on the very bottom there on the far left is an 11 by 17. And so I printed out my thumbnail I turn it like light cyan, and then I'll print it out so that I can just draw over the top. And now I'm refining all of like the all the ornamentation and the shape of the skulls and like how everything flows, like the the little like the fire and the every leaf on the flowers, the marigolds behind them, like those weren't really well rendered in the thumbnail, but at the 11 by 17 size, I'll make sure everything is kind of what it's going to be when I actually end up penciling and ink it. And then I'll scan that in, that 11 by 17, and I'll mirror it so that it has that is one big image, and then I blow that up to 2-up size. So it's on an 18 by 24, but it is 6.875 by 13 and a half, or I'm sorry, 21 and a half. Geez, no, sorry, it's 13.6875 by 21 and a half image area on an 18 by 24. And I will blow that up, and I will, tile it together onto a couple of my 17s and trim it out. And that's the big one that's there. And I'll still go in sometimes and like fix things that kind of like got out of hand when they turned out being that big and stuff. And so on occasion, the stuff that's taped to the back is just straight out of the printer. And then on occasion, it does have like extra marks on it that I'm just kind of like figuring stuff out. Like sometimes I won't render things that like at the small level, because I know what I'm going to do when I actually start inking them and stuff. So I'll just kind of like a lot of times the flowers won't get that detailed. They'll just be kind of like circles in the background, and I'll just make them happen when I actually do it on the art page. So I'll I rule off my 18 by 24 sheets of paper. I'll rule off my borders. I'll tape that to the back, and I light box it. And before I
now you've just explained it for me. Because it is taped on the back. I wanted to take one of those off, so I could show people how detailed, what this looks like. And then I thought, you know what? These are so well taped to the back. I mean, not with like not the full length of the paper, but now, okay, perfect.
Yes. So those are the tape to the back, and so I light box those. And before I do any of that, I use Strathmore Bristol, and it's just the what's it called? What is the series? I think it's 100 series, right? 300 series. 300 series Bristol, Strathmore Bristol vellum. Very recently, they've changed their finishing style a little bit on there, and there's like a weird, almost coat of something on top of them. And so I have been using like a little foam sanding pad, and I sand the entire surface of my papers just to give it a little extra tooth when before I start penciling and inking on there. Just because I don't like what Strathmore has done. I've tried other Bristols to see, and I've tried other watercolor papers and all that stuff, but cost-wise, I can't be buying just a bunch of single sheets of like high-end paper because it's gonna, quadruple my cost. So a little bit of elbow grease. I just, I sand it like it's a surfboard. I just kind of like sand the top of it, get a little bit of tooth to it, and then I'll light box everything. And then I ink everything with Copic multi-liners for the most part. I do have a few like, Kiritaki brushes. I've got a couple of like Pitt pens and a few other things. And then occasionally I'll use like colored pencil on there. I do have a Conti crayon that I'll use on occasion. So I just whatever works kind of like for whatever textures that I'm gonna do. Typically all the line work gets inked on there. And even though a lot of the like ornamentation will be color held when I pull it into the computer, I still ink it all in black. My original turtle covers I had done on 2 separate layers where I used like a vellum film over the top of the but registering those became kind of a pain in the butt. And so now I just get in there and like I use the only thing I use a tablet for is when I'm trying to separate out the ornamentation from the sculptural lines on the inked piece of paper, because it is just black on black. And I got to get in if there's like hatch marks, I have to get in between the hatches and color hold out little parts of ornamentation that are going around through the hatching. So that's the only thing I do on a tablet now. I bought a little iPad mini or iPad Air just to use as an interface for my Photoshop. Like I'm not running Procreate or anything like that. Like I'm just setting up Photoshop on my laptop, using this as a separate monitor, and then just using it to go with the pen tool or the pencil tool and go through and like color hold all of the ornamentation, because that would take me an entire day sometimes, and with the tablet it takes me like a couple hours. So it's really kind of helping that process out. So and then
what size scanner do you have? I have to ask, because I ended up I had to scan about 8 of the pieces, and I had to do like I have a 12 by 18 inch scanner. So I did take three passes at it to to then photo merge in Photoshop. So
that's exactly what I do. So it's 3
yeah.
passes. I have an 11 by 17 scanner, 3 passes. I do the top, I do the bottom, and then I do a middle chunk where I just kind of roll it across the glass and put a couple of books. I've got a couple of great art books. I've got this like Toulouse-Lautrec collection that
fits perfectly on the glass.
Yeah, it holds everything flat, and I do the same thing. I just scan it all, and then I'll open all the pieces up, and I'll make sure that I crop everything away from the edges, so like anything that got kind of like slightly blurred or maybe a little dark because it wasn't quite all the way to the edge, I make sure I crop all those off. I make sure I rotate them all the same direction, and then I make sure they're all the same width, and then I close them all, and then I photo merge them, and I just use automatic. Like I don't use the panorama or like all the other options you have in photo merge. I just use automatic, and my stuff is so black or white, that the photo merge works pretty well. And then use that. I'll straighten everything out. I just adjust levels. I scan everything black and white, and then I just adjust levels, select the channel out, invert the channel, and then fill that with black. And then I will do that black layer. I'll put another built black, like a super black on top of that I'll apply to the layer. And then if I need to do any color holds, I just modify that top black layer. So I do always have one transparent black layer that I'm coloring beneath when I color everything, and that I can do all my color holds on. And then I will typically save the original scan, because a lot of times when I need to separate out black from black, where it's like the hatching from the ornamentation, when you scan it, you can see the difference in the inks. Like you can see the inks overlapping each other. And so that original scan-in layer, sometimes if I have to like draw marquees and stuff, I'll turn off all the layers except the original scan so that I can see all the little bits in between things and make sure that I'm following the right edges, and then just apply that on the layer that actually modifies the inks below it. So it's a process, but it yields a result that I love. Like nothing else kind of like looks like that, and I think we were talking about earlier, it's like, so then when I start, coloring stuff in, like all of that shading and stuff, I'll put a sheet of just printer paper over the top of it, and all of the like little hash marks and bleeds that I use on the shading, I just draw those on the tracing or on the typing paper, whatever, or the printer paper, and then I'll scan that in and then use that as the guide for the edge of what when I'm putting like shading on there. So like all those little like highlights I put like on the foreheads and it's like those like line work, that's all done on a separate piece of paper. So when I'm done, I basically have all of these like external Photoshop layers that are like physically manifest. So I'll have the finished piece of art. I'll have the roughs or what I would call breakdowns, kind of like, tape behind it. I generally will have like a thumbnail and 11 by 17 that I work with. Sometimes there's a tracing paper layer that also happens in there. For my tattoo days, I work on a lot of tracing paper. And then I will have like 5 or 6 sheets of like white 11 by 17 paper that just have like a circle of lines on them, because that's what I use for the highlight on the forehead. Or you can see like the highlight on the teeth. Like sometimes it'll be like there'll be a highlight layer. So you'll see like the forehead, the cheekbones, in between the teeth, the mandible, I guess, maxilla, and then the highlights on the teeth. So you'll just like, it's like a weird MRI layer taken of my artwork of just this little slice of highlights. And then I'll have one for the shadows. And then depending on what else I'm doing, like sometimes I'll do some colored pencil work to kind of give some grit to background stuff. It's my studio mate gives me grief that like I have physical Photoshop layers there. He's like, you could just do that on the tablet and it would just have it be layers in Photoshop. I'm like, no, but like it won't look like it was done by hand. It'll have, everyone's got access to the same brushes, so everything starts like kind of looking the same. And so
exactly,
me and in this room with the humidity level and whatever, like all of those elements are unique to this situation, and a human hand touched them. And I think that we're getting much better at differentiating something that a human hand touched from something that kind of happened digitally. And I just like the look of hand-hewn work. I like that like the way it feels,
Of course. Yeah. No. Well, here, let me show everybody the art book cover, and because this will be the here, I'll go full screen, make it a little bit easier here for everybody to see. So again, it is on 18 by 24, and like you said, I didn't try to measure it, but it is something around, what did you say, like 13 and a half?
Yeah, 13 and 3/4 by 21 and a half.
By 21 and a half is the actual image area on the board. And then with this piece, you can see when we turn it over, it has the pencil prelim, that the final stage of your work here that you've taped to the back, just really in the corners, and then you light box to this side from it. But yeah, that's why I was like, oh, I want to see that, and then I realized I didn't want to like take anything apart.
And that's
And I
artist
think
tape on all of these too. It's acid free, so if someone wants to take it off, they're welcome to. If they want to leave it on, it won't harm the paper. It's acid free tape. Yep.
and I think on some of them, like maybe the Fantastic Four cover, I felt like I saw maybe more than one piece of paper underneath that. Like maybe I could see like the Thing's head was on one layer, and
Yeah.
there
I'll
was
sometimes do that where I'm like unhappy with something. Like once you get it big, you can kind of look at it with different eyes, and so I will. I'll sometimes. Oh, thanks, John. I'll like, oh, that didn't work, and so I'll do another quick little or another sketch or breakdown, and then like I'll sometimes need to cut out the old one so it doesn't confuse me, and then tape like some tracing paper behind it. So
sure.
yeah, I stopped being like real precious with my artwork and just kind of like whatever works to kind of get it done. Like you'll see some of those other upcoming pieces like don't have backgrounds. I'm like, well, those were like the super rigid grid of boxes. And so rather than me spending 5 hours like measuring, and it's like I'll just build it in the computer because it'll work better. But the characters,
Right,
will
the
still
interior
be
page, right, when they're in
yeah,
the
the
vault of the
yeah,
safe, right? Yeah. No,
yep.
that's I did find the published image to that one, so I
Oh,
could
cool.
include it
Oh,
with the piece,
excellent.
so people had a reference point on that one.
Yeah. I was really driving myself crazy with making sure every little thing was like on the page and done by hand. But I just decided, probably in the last 2 years that like whatever works best. You know what I mean? So like if if I need to draw a clock, like I'm not going to like hand draw all the letters and make sure they're evenly. Like I'll just do them on the computer. Like I'll still draw them. Like they're not a font. Like I'm still making sure the letter forms are drawn by me. But I'm just doing it in Illustrator because it'll take me 2 minutes in Illustrator. It's going to take me literally an hour and a half to do it by hand, and then probably be wrong, probably like bork a line or two, and then be like, then have to fix it on the computer anyway. So I'm letting the computer do what the computer's good at, and then I'm doing everything else by hand that should be done by hand, or like that I feel should be done by hand, and then marrying the two into something that works on the printed page, because that's ultimately like the final thing is the printed version. But yeah, with the covers, sometimes it's like I'll just change my mind partway through it and need to like literally just kind of cut an area out of the back. Like, well, I'm not drawing that now. Like, or usually,
Right.
honestly, what it is more often than not is I have a better idea. I'll have done something that was kind of like, oh, this works. And then in the process of actually doing it, I'm like, oh crap, I have a better idea. So now I've got to like cut out this thing and like put this other thing on there. But I'm also not afraid to like, shit can a day's worth of work to do the better idea. Like there's kind of always time to do it right, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And the worst thing I can think of is having had the better idea, not executing on it, and then seeing the kind of less than optimal version of it out in the world, because that will just nag at me. It'll be a little dagger in my heart every time I see it. And at this point, I know someone's going to come bring it to get signed. I know people are going to show up with that cover. So it's like, I just
have to see it
it's
again.
like,
Yeah, I get
as
it.
much as people are like, oh, he's such a perfectionist and wants, like, no, this is for my own like sanity, because it will drive me crazy if I don't just take the time to do it the way I want to do it. Yeah, it's a sickness. It really is.
Well, I understand. I definitely get it. You always want to put your best work out there, and you don't want to have anything you regret.
Yeah.
Let's see. Marcus says he's going to be seeing you at Cape and Cowl Con next weekend. So I don't know what that is, but I guess do you know what that is? Or you
Yeah,
know
Cape
what
and
you're?
Cowl. Yeah, absolutely, Marcus. Hell yeah. Yeah, it's August 30th, Oakland, California. Faction
Okay.
Brewery. It's just like old military base that got turned into a brewery that has a comic show on it. Cape and Cowl is a shop in Oakland. A town over there like sponsors the show. It is a murderer's row of guests, man. Anyone listening who's anywhere near Oakland, California, and I'm talking like I would say within a 4-hour drive. Like it would be worth a 4-hour drive to go to that show. It's free too. It's free to get in. Go look at the guest list. It's like 70 great creators, and it's all going to be super easy to talk to everyone. Like it's like
Mhm.
there may be some small lines for people, but it's not like nothing's going to be ticketed. Nothing is, you're not going to waste a whole day in someone's line and not see everyone else. Like you'll be able to see everyone. You'll be able to talk to everyone. It's a great show. It's a great venue. It is the best single day show I think in the country right now is Cape and Cowl. So yeah, if anyone's going, yes, it's free admission. Anyone near there within 4 hours, go to Cape and Cowl Con on August 30th. I guarantee you'll have a good time. Yeah, definitely check the guest list out too. Like just put in Cape and Cowl Convention Oakland. The guest list will come up, and just looking at the guest list, I think a lot of people are going to want to go. It's an amazing show.
Sounds like it. And one other PSA, I know that Jim had sent me an
Oh
image
yeah.
for the what is it? The Giant Size X-Men project, the 100
Yes.
project. So you did this for that?
Yes, this is a wraparound cover. So I mean, it's a sketch cover, but I ended up doing a wraparound because it was blank on the back, and my compulsion was to just keep going. So yeah. So this one is currently up for option. I think it's like 3 days away. So we're it was like a week. So we're 4 days into this auction. All of this and this none of this money goes to me. This is all for the Hero Initiative, which is probably going to be my health insurance at some point in life. So please go help them out. It's a great cause. We were talking about freelancing, man. Like one of the freedoms of freelancing are great. Being able to kind of have come and go as I please, work on what I want to, and not work on what I don't want to. All that stuff is great. One of the bummers is that we don't have health insurance, and unless we have like a spouse with a kind of great health insurance or some other means of getting health insurance, like a lot of people. It's not the most healthy lifestyle to be sitting in an artboard all day. So a lot of older creators and younger creators like do end up coming up on some medical expenses, some kind of like, houses burned down in fires, stuff like that. And we're not real job holders, so having like kind of, the insurances to take care of these things aren't always there. And Hero Initiative acts as a safety net to kind of help out comic creators in times of need. So it's a charity I wholeheartedly believe in. I donate time, I donate art, I donate whenever I can. I like to help out Hero Initiative. When I don't take I don't accept payment for signatures. I don't charge for signatures, and I never will. However, a lot of people are totally okay paying for signatures, and so they show up with money and a stack of books, and I'm like, well, it's free, and I see the money in their hand. I go, if you want to donate, and I'll have a Hero Initiative like donation thing at my table. Like if you want to donate that to the Hero Initiative, like that's totally fine, but just so you know, I'm not charging you for signatures. And so I'm always willing to kind of funnel money and attention to that cause. It's a great cause.
Agreed. And George Perez was one of the best at doing that over the years. I mean, he would always have a huge line, and he always, he would sketch, he would sign. Everything was, for the Hero Initiative. And I won a few auctions. I get to hang out with George over the years through Hero.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, it's so no, I've been a huge supporter of the Hero Initiative even before CAF. It's something that is so worthwhile. I mean, they do so many different things, right? Whether it's healthcare needs, driving somebody to the grocery store, or even just taking somebody out to lunch sometimes. I mean, that's it's needed. Definitely needed. I'm really it's wonderful that you support them, and I know that I mean, we probably wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that. So
yeah.
So why don't we get into the art sale side of things? Because there's gonna be a lot to talk about when we look at the art. I think with everything except maybe a couple of the interiors, I got the color work or the published cover to show along with it, and then some of the interiors, at least one, maybe two, I was able to find. I think on two, I was able to find your unique coloring on the interiors of the Destino pieces. So, so let me kind of give everybody the ground rules so they know what we're going to do here with the claim sale. I mean, we've got 19 lots of art for sale. And,
and I got to say, like, I know that's a lot. So if we don't sell, like, nobody feel bad if we don't go through these all. So,
Oh, we'll get through the lots. Trust me. I've done more like 40 sometimes if I have to. But we can race through them. But no, this is a very manageable set. Believe me.
Cool.
But let's see. I'll go with it. I have all of the art in hand, like I almost always do when we do these shows. So we will, we'll be handling the shipping and packing here. Claims happen in the chat. We have 19 slides that we're going to show. Each slide has a lot number on it. You just need to say claim and the lot number in the chat. Be the first one to do that, and you and I will coordinate the payment after the show. I would encourage everybody who's on YouTube right now to hit the live button that's in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. I think most of the people who are watching right now are on YouTube, but clicking that live button will help move you to the front of the line. Your buffering will be as limited as possible. Therefore, because a lot of times if you could be like 10 seconds behind and you see somebody say claim 6 and you're still looking at slide 5 because your stream has not caught up with where we're actually at. The chat is usually faster than what you're going to see on the stream, but the live button will help keep you as current, as close to current as possible. As far as payment goes, we'd like to get paid within 48 hours of the show. If you do claim something, you got to email us right after the show, and we will coordinate with you. The payment options. We do prefer Zelle and Venmo. Or even personal check. We don't like to charge service fees if we don't have to. But if you do need to use PayPal, we do charge a 4% fee for U.S. buyers and 5.5% for international. So again, we'll do anything we can to avoid that. We'll take a Wise payment, which I think ends up being on the buyer's side for like a 0.5%. That's cool too. But we'll work with you on that. Once we need to coordinate payment. And then as far as shipping goes, everything gets shipped in Masonite. I can tell you that I'm definitely going to have to cut some larger pieces of Masonite for this stuff. Thank you, Gonzo.
Yeah, no
I don't
problem.
mind. I have a table saw out in the garage and 4x8 sheets of Masonite, but these so it'll be a little oversized, but we'll still work with the prices here. I think by and large, maybe international, I might end up having to ask for an extra $5 or $10, but domestic, I have shipped art this size before. So domestic shipping is $35. International, we'll say right now is $70. And again, everything's fulfillment is handled here, and we take good care of the artwork. Everything will be bagged and shipped between Masonite, and you'll get a tracking information after all is done. Of course, if you buy a couple pieces, you save on shipping, all of the usual stuff that you would expect from any sales show that we manage or most sellers would do.
Oh, I also want to say a quick thing. Thank you everyone who's like watching right now. Appreciate you guys being here. And B, 18 by 24 is a standard frame size. So if you do buy a piece, you can like go to Michael's and buy a frame. And if you do go to Michael's and buy a frame and it's regular price, come back the next week and it'll be on sale, because Michael has sales like every other weekend. So that's my advice.
Yeah, it's like they do the buy one get one free.
Oh, dude, I had buy one get two free not that long ago, and I bought like 2 and ended up like 6 frames for the cost. Yeah, go to Michael's, buy frames. It's always the best.
Oh yeah, no, with our OAX show, Kazra is always very savvy on waiting for the moment when we can get a sale, because we have like 5 special galleries usually, and we're the ones buying the frames, and it's like in the month leading up to the show, we're just waiting for that sale.
Yeah, they're great, man. All the artwork you saw in here, I think every single one of these frames came from Michael. So yeah, it's even when I'm there just buying other art supplies, and I see they're having like a buy one get 2 or something, like, well, shit, now I got to buy like 10 frames, because it's like now it's like me losing money if I don't buy those. All right, but again, thank you everyone for showing up. You guys are all awesome. I know that there's so much stuff to do all the time, so the fact that anyone takes any time out of their day, I do really appreciate.
Exactly. And I can let everybody know too that anything that doesn't sell will get posted to the official Comic Art Fans gallery over on comicartfans.com. There is a link in the chat that goes right to that gallery, so I would encourage anybody who isn't already following or watching that gallery, you should do that, because you'll just get automatically alerted when art gets posted to that gallery. So after a show like this one, or if we happen to do an art drop during the week, whatever, that's the best way to kind of stay on top of art that we have available for sale here on the channel or through the website. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Well, let's just dive into the first piece. We've shown it a couple times already.
There you go.
This is your art book cover. Mm-hmm. And again, the coloring is just so striking. I think this one was one of my favorite. I mean, they're all amazing, but there's just something about the colors on this piece. I don't know if it's the light blues. Something about this one just screams out to me that to look at me. And I really, really like this piece a lot. It's amazing in person. And I mean, and I'd say all of the artworks that you've that are here, the cover work, it should be framed and looked at. I mean, this isn't something you want to hide away in a portfolio.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, this is the first time I drew my own character as a calavera, which is kind of funny, because I had kept like kind of like my lucha stuff separate and away from my calavera stuff. And then, we were doing. I was putting the art show together, or putting my art book together, and I'm like, I should, have something I own on the cover. So I just did my own guy as a calavera. Digging the way it came out. Like, I always kind of draw La Mano, like with his chin kind of coming to a point. So it was the shape on the skull is a little unique to him. And then I get to have a lot of fun with some like technique stuff. Like, there's a little bit of pointillism on the Sacred Heart that's there. There's like a lot of hatching. It's just doing all of his kind of like making his mask out of all the ornamentation was like super fun to do too. So this is definitely a piece I love, and was kind of like there was a decision to put that in the envelope when I sent everything over. But
Now, can people get the art book? I didn't even think to look to see if it was available yet.
I'm still writing it.
Okay.
I kind of want to make sure I have kind of legal cover to do it, because it is a collection of all of my calaveras. So I'm just gonna say I don't want to say too much about that. So I am both still writing and making sure that I'm not going to get shut down doing it. But it should be out. I'm hoping by the end of the year. I was really hoping before Cape and Cowl, but I got a couple of huge projects kind of dropped in my lap that I needed to tend to. The art part of it is all built, and it is all going to be color image and black and white, like on opposite pages of each other. So you'll be able to see the colored published version and then the black and white artwork all for every piece it's included. And I think it's like I think it's like 60 of them right now, maybe somewhere between 40 and 60. I'd have to look, but yeah, it's a lot of them, and then I keep adding to it. So at some point, I just need to like say we're done. Like this is the last one that goes in there, and then but I am calling it Volume 1, so there will be some subsequent volumes. But yeah, right now it's Volume 1 has a lot, and this is on the cover of it.
Oh, very nice. So I did put a link. I know in the show description, I think I might have linked to your Instagram, but I also put a link into your X account into the chat.
Oh,
so
right.
People can follow you there. That way they'll be able to stay on top of when the art book becomes available, and make it easy for them to not miss out on the opportunity to pick that up. So this is priced $2,500, lot number 1, and let's take a look. And I don't have a real good rhyme or reason. I think it was going alphabetical most of the time when I was laying these, putting the order together to kind of keep things sort of organized. And lot number 2 is from Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, a Halloween like special edition cover.
Yes, yeah, this is the Halloween special for Beneath the Trees. And I was at a show with Patrick, the creator of Beneath the Trees, a couple weeks ago when I was dropping this stuff off to be picked up. And I got Patrick to sign it as well, which was kind of cool. So like, I wanted to show it to him because I know he liked the cover, and then B, I was like, hey man, can you sign this real quick? So whoever buys it gets it signed both by the creator of the character and me who drew it.
See, and it's fun looking at the color version to the final version. So the image on the left to the one on the right is just seeing some of the choices that you make in the pattern on the forehead, where you've added those lines through to just kind of give it a little bit of depth. The plaid shirt, not done on the line work, but done, but it works, right? I mean,
that's one of those, let the computer do what the computer can do.
Of course.
And I also wanted to build it as actual plaid, where like the colors come together to form the darker color, not overlap them, but actually have the stitch lines like fill in the gaps between each other so that they become that third like darker cover or color. And then she always has those goggles on when she's murdering people. And so I wanted to maintain the shape of the goggles, but have it be a contrasting color. So the ornamentation kind of frames the edge of the goggles, and then the ornamentation within them is that lighter blue color to kind of give the idea of goggles in there. And then also like looking up what a bear skull looked like was kind of fun. Whenever I do animals, it's always kind of interesting to see the difference in like the way that their nasal passages are, where their zygomates stick out and that sort of thing. And but still kind of maintain, because the book is so illustrative and kind of Richard Scarry kind of cartooning to it, that I still needed to maintain the general shape of her head. So like balancing all of that becomes a little bit of work.
So when you're like in an image like this, you have, like you talked about earlier, when you're doing the what is it, the 4x6 thumbnail, and you're knowing that you're working with symmetry, do you work out, like I'm looking at the leaves around them, clearly you keep some of the the leaves in the same kind of spot, but you're changing them. I mean, do you work that out on the board here when you're inking it, or is that kind of level of detail even thought out before you get to this stage?
Sometimes I'll do that on like the 11x17 stage, like when I go from thumbnail 11x17. Sometimes I'll work some of that out in the 11x17. On this one, God, I think I might have just figured it out. No, I think I'd work this out on the 11x17. I sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just draw like circles, and like a flower is going to go here, and then I'll just figure it out. Depending on like the amount of symmetry that I want in there. Like this one, I with the leaves that are kind of like flowing up overhead, like those. I think I had drawn them and like left them in there, but then when it came time to ink them, I just went off script and just drew them a little more scattered and kind of, you know, less bilateral symmetry, but kind of still echoing each other so that they would look a little more random. I think stuff like that sometimes when it looks too symmetrical, it just they can look a little plastered on there. But if you kind of like just skew it a little bit, it looks a little more natural, but has a nice balance to it.
It does. That's that's what I was noting when I was looking at this. I was like, all right, it's not really as symmetrical. I mean, as you would think that there are things that you try to throw in there to kind of just make it more well balanced, I guess, in a strange way. But anyways, beautiful piece.
Oh, thank you.
This one's 2,500 as well. We'll take a look at the next lot. So this is we get a Marvel piece here, right? We get a Conan.
No, this is Heroic.
Oh, it's not. That's right. It's not Marvel. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yes. So this is post or yeah. So it's Heroic, but distributed by Titan.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's Conan is doing their own comics as well as licensing it to other companies. I think Marvel still has Conan to some degree, but it's like. Again, it's like the Godzilla thing where it's like, they can do this version, but not that version, yada, yada. I don't understand this. I just know the Conan people. So, I got an opportunity to draw Conan and I'm, we talked a little bit about kind of cover construction. I'm a real big proponent of knowing what's going on in the comic. And if at all possible, having the cover reflect some element of what's happening or hint to the kind of ethos of what is happening within the comic book. And, in this particular issue, Conan has been like captured by a snake cult and kind of thrown in this pit to like cage fight, for their entertainment. And so, I like the idea of having this kind of more kind of Bronze Age approach to rendering Conan. Like it's got a lot more of that kind of like, brushy, sort of late 70s kind of Marvel approach to rendering Conan, but then having this like super iconographic snake around him to kind of represent the entanglement of the cult that he's dealing with. I know, which sounds like a lot of highfalutin stuff for a Conan cover, but just the kind of juxtaposition of art styles and coloring styles even to kind of show that the cult is an imposition in his life, and then placing him kind of in the shaft of light coming from the top of the pit that he's been thrown into.
So do they give you a script for something like this, or do they give you breakdowns on what the interiors look like? How do they pitch the concept to you?
Sometimes I'll get like a script or even some pages. Sometimes I'll get the entire book. This one, I think I got like a breakdown. They were like, oh, this is what's like. I think I just asked them what's happening with Conan. And like, oh, this is what's happening. He's like literally kind of what I just told you. Like, oh, he's been captured by the snake cult. They threw him in a pit. He's got a cage fight. He's trying to work his way out. Yada yada. It's like, okay, cool, got it. Like, I think I know what I can do. And so, so that's how we got here.
Very cool. So this is lot 3 at $1,500. And again, all of the covers we're going to look at are on 18 by 24 with the image area. I should have written it down, 13 3/4 by 21.5. Yeah, now I've written it down. I'm not going to forget. 21.5. All right. So next up, we're going to be showing a couple door covers. So this is the first of two. How did you get the gig? It's such a popular book right now. I mean, did you?
It's just a retailer reached out to me and was like, "Hey, do you want to do?" At first it was just like Dork number 1 was the first one we did, and we just what was it? I didn't think any. I mean, I know Brett. Like, I've known him a while. Like, we've been friendly, and even he, like, he emailed me. He was like, "Oh, like, so stoked you're going to be doing a cover," and yada yada. And I'm like, "Okay, cool, yeah, like, looking forward to it." It just seemed like another gig, and so I just did this cover for Dork 1, and then Dork 1, became Dork 1. It was the thing that like the juggernaut that it's become, and then my cover, having been a retailer exclusive and having the limited run, just got sought after. And then it just was, and then people were just kind of clamoring me for me to do more. And then, me and that retailer have continued, Presto's is the retailer, have just continued to do Dork covers because people really like me on Dork covers. And, Brett's so imaginative and this world is so kind of like out there. It has such like kind of fun, cool visuals. And again, this is an instance where when I get to do, even though I'm doing like a, retailer exclusive, I'm like, what's happening in the book? And And the fun thing is like knowing Brett is like I can just message him and be like, hey, dude, what's the main villain in issue 5 here? And it's going to be this dragon, and so he'll send me like some interior like screen caps of interior pages and stuff. And so I've got a little bit of like kind of insider information when it comes to like doing my dork covers, because I can always just get a hold of Brett and ask him like what he thinks about like putting stuff in there. But yeah, there was this like fire dragon. I think it was like spewing kind of more like magma, and so I really wanted this kind of like gooey fire coming out of him as opposed to just like straight flames.
Well, it's amazing. Very and in person, it's beautiful. I mean, like the cross hatching that you're doing in the background there.
Oh, that woven hatch, yeah, that stuff's
yeah,
become
it's
kind of a
technique.
signature of mine. Yeah. I like it as like and it's one of those things like I could easily, there's brushes that do that in Photoshop. I could easily just put a gray back there or whatever to like, it could just read as color if I really wanted to, but I like having the originals like be special and have like a quality of their own. And so I will take the time to woven hatch an entire background of an 18 by 24 piece of paper. Yeah, believe me, sometimes when I'm like, 2 hours into woven hatching a background on a thing I realized I could have been done, 2.5 hours ago if I had just done it as a color. I do curse myself sometimes, but it does look cool in my opinion when it's done, when it's all colored and done. Like I think it has a unique quality to it. So I'm totally
Did you actually do the woven part on the prelim, the step before this, or
no? I just leave it blank. Like I know that it's going to be there. Yeah. Or I'll sometimes like I'll just shade it in gray and be like, oh, this looks better when like the it has like a little bounce from the background. If it's pushing the foreground elements forward, I always feel good about adding some texture. And it also breaks up the kind of like smooth roundness of all the magma kind of coming out of him, sitting on a field of like just basically straight angular lines to kind of create the background. It's a nice contrast that will help push the elements forward, and then help other elements recede into the background. I'm not a big fan of like everything being the same like hatching pattern on everything. Like pants and shirts and jackets and hair and face like are all hatched. Like I prefer to kind of give everything its own sort of inking technique, so that like a leather jacket looks different than denim pants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I try to do a lot of that.
Well, the guy I do the art picks with every Thursday would be very happy to hear that. He loves texture. He loves when creators kind of try to match texture to the object, make metal look like metal.
Yes, yeah.
Make leather look like leather. He's a big texture guy in art, but again, it also just makes this more a finished piece of art versus something that I could I did this in Photoshop so I could get done with the project in a half a day versus a day and a half or something.
Yeah.
And we're all traditional art collectors here at the end of the day, so we want to see the pieces be more finished like this traditionally. So
right on.
So, okay, we have another door cover too. That was lot 4, and it was $2,000. And the next one is lot 5, priced at $1,800. And again, same size, but I hate to say I've only read the first 2 issues of Dork, so I'm not up to 6 here. But there looks like some spell casting or something going on.
Yeah, it's the Bone Witch, I think is what her name is. Yeah, she came in. She was the new villain in this issue, and she's like pale blue, but has this great pink magic about her. Like the magic she uses is pink. So I thought that pale blue against the pink is a nice complementary kind of contrast that lends itself to like a dynamic cover. And then this one I decided, rather than kind of making the skulls like light, I decided to make them black, and then have it all just be colored line work, so they would have like a glow to them, like they were zapped, like sometimes it was great, in cartoons you'd see someone get zapped and like the energy around them is all like bright and colorful, but then the bones are just solid black, like skull, like, or skeletons in there. So this was kind of like my attempt at doing that to kind of give it a little bit of that X-rayed kind of feel to it.
And looking at the coloring, I see like some of the hair texture is not in the final finished piece, right? So around the bottom and around the sides of her, beneath her jawline.
Oh yeah. So yeah, some of that was like done on a separate sheet of paper. And then I also forgot that she had these huge disc earrings, and so I had to do those separately and scan them in and put them into on the final color piece. Oh, thank you so much, Winter. Appreciate that. So occasionally I do also mess up and like, oh yeah, she needed earrings instead of just hair back there. So those I just did on like a quick typing paper, kind of essentially. I keep saying typing paper. I know it's printer paper because nobody really types anymore. So yeah, I just did that on a quick printer paper and then scanned it in and plopped them in there. But I think the piece works even without the earrings having been drawn on the original.
Oh, of course. Yeah, no, it does, it works really well like that. But yeah, this was a fun piece, and everybody knows how much I love skulls, so you get, 3 dancing skulls in front of,
Yeah.
her as well, which makes that fun. David McPherson mentioned on the for related to the previous piece, he said that the hatching backgrounds are like, Gory or Gerhardt, and yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, a little bit. I think mine are a little less loose than Gory. Like I think but I do enjoy that kind of texture for sure. Yeah. I just at some point, just straight cross hatching or double hatching kind of became this like default kind of de facto standard for comic making. And I'm always impressed with like guys like what is his name? Like Matt Lesniewski and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, like
Matt's nuts.
who just does like all kinds of, he's doing like just a scumbled line for stuff, and he's also doing hatching and he's pointillism and all. And it's just like, oh yeah, there's like all of these things kind of available to you. Like, why is everyone, especially nowadays with our scanning technologies and printing technologies, like a lot of those straight like brush bleeds to like give like gradations, or zipatones or whatever, like those were an affect of having been needed to go to like shoot PMTs off of them and shoot your plates off of the PMTs, and so they had to be black or white, and so using those techniques allowed for some amount of the illusion of gradation without being actual gray tones, or not having to worry about like a stippling pattern, creating a moire, or being too fine for the screen that you're using when you shoot your plates with a stat camera onto a PMT. None of that exists anymore. So you can do really fine kind of shading and have it still come out. And then that kind of saves you the trouble of doing it as a grayscale in Photoshop or something where it's going to be a little too smooth. So yeah, I like kind of being able to get in there and just utilize whatever kind of works for it, and then looking at kind of like other illustrative styles that have different approaches that I can then appropriate into comic books, especially when not everyone's doing it.
Right, exactly. Well, that's what makes your art stand out. The line weights, you look at the way, I think on all the pieces we've seen so far, the heavier weight around the face to more delicate work. I mean, it's fun. Again, it just makes the work stand out in a way that is very unique. And back to these, like we talked about earlier, when you see it on the shelf, you have to pause.
Yeah. What is this? Yeah. That's my job, hopefully.
Now we have, I think, 5 interiors that we're going to look at here. The first one is a DPS. They're all from I don't recall what year these came out.
They're coming out. This is Lamano. Yeah. Series 2. I'm hoping by the end of the year, guys. I'm working on this so hard. I'm 12 pages away from done. So this is the what is it, like 2-3 spread from issue 1?
Yes, pages 2 and 3. It's a double page spread. So this is it's actually on a smaller board, right? It's 22 by 17.
Yeah, so these are two 8.5, or sorry, these are two 11 by 17s taped together, right? This one I think is hinged, or is it one big sheet of paper?
It's I think this is one.
Okay, so then it's it's 11 by 17, or sorry, it's a 22 by 17.
You were actually right. I'm sorry. It's so flat. I thought it was one.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen somebody tape. I mean, you do this all yourself, but it's so flat. I thought it was on a single board.
Yeah, this is when I was still being precious about making sure it was all on 11 by 17s and all on the like this. Nowadays, I would have just done this on a 22 by 17 sheet of paper, but I was still kind of hung up on doing it as 11 by 17s. So that would be traditional art style and stuff. But yeah, this is another good example of like all the different textures. From some pointillism to some cross hatching to some just straight kind of bleeds and stuff.
Right. Well, the woven texture, the pointillism, and that's all in just that second panel, the one that's in the middle. Right?
Yeah.
It's just crazy the amount of work you put in here, and then even first panel far right, lighting up that the temple face on the wall. I know, on the scan, it's a little darker, but when you look at it, it is all just pointillism.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, it does not. You can't really see the detail in the scan, unfortunately.
Sorry, yeah, it's there. It's a lot.
It
Believe me,
is.
yeah, there's a lot of detail
Yes.
there. Yeah, yeah, I just wanted it to look like a like stone, like carved kind of sandstony sort of thing, and yeah, like yeah, I never skimp on backgrounds, that's for sure. What was like? Oh yeah, like a lot of these Aztec and Mayan temples you see in like Mesoamerica, like there's almost a color difference between things just in the different kind of stones that they would use. Like they use like kind of a more like flaky kind of shaly stone for like the trim on things, but then like the walls are made of these like big kind of sandstone blocks and what have you. So I wanted to kind of emulate that difference of texture to give it again a little bit of contrast and kind of feel like these temples that I've seen.
Well,
And then doing that little wall of skulls in the background there was real fun. Like, yeah, that little skull that I developed from some ancient sculpture I found in like one of my many Aztec or Mesoamerican mythology books was yeah, those were cool. Like that real kind of squared off nose and stuff. It's definitely different than what I would normally do for a skull, but it gives it a sense of place for sure.
Definitely. And a lot of people, you could have taken shortcuts with this, but you didn't. Not at all. I mean, it's all on the board.
Yeah, there's always time to do it right. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's like I don't know, man. Like, I feel like I never want to get called out on kind of skimping or phoning it in. Like I feel like people can feel when stuff gets phoned in. And even if you don't agree with like how it was executed, you can at least see that there was some intentionality to it. And I feel like that can kind of carry the mood of something, even if perhaps it pushes the limits of my draftsmanship. At least you see that there was an intentionality to what I was trying to do. As opposed to just trying to get something or just putting something down. Yeah, like I want to give people an experience more than I just want to tell them a story. And I think that the effort kind of contributes to the overall experience.
Nope, I completely agree. So this again, it's a DPS pages 2 and 3 to the yet
to be released. Yeah, series 2, issue 1 of Mano del Destino.
All right. Now, next up is a fun splash page from that. So it's page 4.
Yep.
I mean, we always love hand lettered sounds, punches, you name it. So this is a big crash, and yeah, this one's just fun. The weight of that, the ceiling coming down is just is amazing. But I love them leaping out like that. This is really, and again, it's back to the textures. Look at the woven texture on the pedestal. To even the ceiling coming down, even the weight of the words. It's just it's just a beautiful piece.
Yeah, I wanted a lot of movement and a lot of weight. Like I wanted it to feel like giant stones coming down, including the thickness of the letters themselves. Right, like even the sound effect has weight and depth, and it's like it's I want you to be able to hear this page, kind of the low rumble of just a ton of stones crashing down. Yeah, it was fun to do. And I really got initially with Mano, I think I did a lot of sound effects separately. And then kind of like, the kind of style back, when I started this was, everyone was doing like Illustrator sound effects and stuff. And so I really wanted to start making them more diegetic by getting them into the art and then also having them a lot more hand done. So like when I collected the trade paperback for Mano, I did replace a few sound effects. Like I didn't want to George Lucas my own project, but I definitely there were some sound effects that just needed to be hand done as opposed to digital. Like I don't want them to be on the page; I want them to be in the page. And so I started drawing them when there's a big effect to be had, and especially this one. Like just making it also look like stone was just was fun to do.
I'll have to thank Marcelo Mata for picking this one up. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Marcelo.
I shipped him a piece of art last week. If I'd known, I would have held it back and shipped them together. But but no, we thank you for that. And I question though, because with the interiors there are no pencil prelims. So is that do you do is the process for an interior page for you different than when you're working on a cover?
That's a good question. Yes and no. I do start with thumbnails, and all of my thumbnails are on a single sheet of paper, and then I will have like so I'll do those. Like I don't usually blow because those thumbnails are smaller. Like I don't know, hold on, I can actually grab some. They're sitting right here. I don't know if you want to
I'll switch
the camera back over to me. Hold on a sec. Let's do this. I'm sorry, you can see my Dumb head. All right. Is this the one I want? Okay, of course that's not the one I wanted. It's this one. Good God, I got it. I got it. All right, they are like literally underneath me, which is nice though. So my thumbnails look like this on these pages, and so I can see the entire book kind of at a glance, and so this helps me set like the rhythms for stuff. But these are like, and I'll have like little, like, let me see if I can find. Like that's, I don't know if we can see that. That is the page of him just getting like tackled and stuff. So, yeah. And you can see the blocks coming down. So that really wasn't even that page. Like I didn't work out too much of the logistics, but I will make like little dialogue notes and stuff up here sometimes, or who's there. There's like little dialogue notes in here. And then sometimes like I had to tape another piece on here, like, cause I didn't like this page. So I redid it. Yes, it's madness. It's insanity. This is my cork board with string. So because I can't really blow those up, I end up doing, prelims on 11 by 17, like, because I know what these are the are more for like the panel layout, like how many panels are going to be there and stuff. And so with that one, I will just do typically I'll do those on tracing. So I will do the 11 by 17 Bristol board, and I will rule off all of my borders in blue line the way that I know they're going to need to be based on my thumbnails. Mm-hmm. Then I will put a piece of tracing paper over those so that I can see the blue line panels, and I will start doing breakdowns on the tracing paper that fit into the panels, and I'll mark my corners so that I can register it when all is said and done. Then when I'm happy with the breakdowns, and my breakdowns can be pretty robust, but I'm not like putting every little mark and detail in like Lamano's mask. My hands just look like mittens, you know, like everyone just kind of has like little, you know, mitten hands and stuff. And then I will take, once that's kind of to a satisfactory point, then I will take that sheet of tracing paper, put it behind the board now, and then I will transfer my breakdowns. And sometimes, like, you know, I will just do like I'll just go straight to inks on certain parts of it. Other things I'll have to like figure out with like some pencils first, and then do inks over the top of it. But my goal is to do as little working it out on the Bristol as possible, because I can erase tracing paper like time and time again. It comes off cleanly, doesn't need to be super clean and crisp, but you know, you erase 4 or 5 times on a piece of Bristol, and now you're kind of like whittling away at the board and stuff. So I'm trying to do as much thinking on tracing paper and the least amount of penciling on my actual Bristol, and then going straight to inks. So that one, I knew it was just a full page spread, so I just literally just drew like my borders around it, and then put the tracing paper over there, and then kind of, I think I might have done like I might have done the 2 characters even separately, and then slid those in between the tracing paper and the board, and then kind of positioned them to where I thought they would work well, and then did the crash, and then like, you know, penciled that in, and then kind of like, yeah. So again, it's a lot of like just what works, but I will typically on interior pages, borders go down on the page in blue line, tracing paper over the top of those until I like my breakdowns based on the thumbnails, then light box the tracing paper onto the Bristol, do a little bit more, tiny bit more refinement with the pencils, and then go into inks. And a lot of stuff also happens with inks. Like all of those lines for like the woven hatch and stuff, like that all happens just in inks. Like I don't plan any of that out. That's just me with a pen, just kind of going. Right. And then some of like the smoke and stuff too will just be real broad gestures. And then because I don't need to pencil those and then try to follow every little curl and you know, spiral or whatever. It's like, I'll just have like an arc across the page. And then when I get in there with the ink, I can kind of like add some like bumps and kind of, you know, trails to it and stuff. Cause you know, it's organic. It doesn't need to like, you know, look like anything. You know, I got some great advice from Todd McFarlane early on. He's like, I love drawing rubble because no one can tell you rubble doesn't look right. Like, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. Yep.
Well, we'll get to the next slide in a second. I saw Jason Krager popped in. He said, "You have my childhood buddy Gonzo on your show. It's amazing."
Yeah. No, Krager and I that's the friend I was talking about when he's the one who brought me to San Diego.
Oh, Krager. Okay.
Yeah, he's the guy. I've known him since 8th grade, since 1987. Yeah, I met him in 87. We've been friends a long time. Most of our lives, I should say. But yeah, he was the guy who really, when he saw the work I was doing in like my 20s, was like, "Oh, you should be able to get work with this." He was that first bit of encouragement that really led me to kind of chase this career down. And honestly, like the first, 10, 20 people I kind of met in the industry are because he knew them, and they're also friends of mine to this day. So he's a great guy. He's a hell of an artist.
He
And
is. I have a
yeah.
few pieces. Yeah.
And responsible almost, and solely for my career. Because if I was in advertising and kind of doing all of that stuff, and someone like him connected to the business hadn't told me like, oh yeah, no, you could do this, I might just be still drawing, at my desk, wondering what could have been, not know, because it was the days before like really heavy internet stuff too. Like I didn't know how to talk to people. And he was like, no, you need to talk to editors. Like, let me introduce you to these people. Let me introduce you to these people. And that initial group of people that he introduced me to, like selflessly introduced me to, because I know a lot of people get guarded about who who they want to introduce you to. And he just, everyone he knew, he's like, this is my buddy Gonzo. I've known him most of my life. He's a good guy. He vouched for me. That started, 20, 30 years ago. That started the kind of where I am today. So much love to Krager, man. He's my brother.
Well, so he's saying he did it all on your own. He's being modest right now.
He is being modest. He's a great guy. I mean, he unafraid to talk to anybody. We've got so many good stories about him and the people he's talked to, and like none of which I want to repeat because I don't want to out him on some stuff. But unafraid to talk to anybody, and also unafraid to like make sure that people know each other. Like he's never been like, hang back, I got to talk to this person real quick or anything like that. He's never kept anything to himself. He's always been like, oh, I'm going to go talk to this blah, blah, blah. You should come with. I'll introduce you. Totally selfless dude. And definitely set an example for how I try to comport myself within the industry. Like I'm always making sure people know each other. If I'm in a group of people talking, I make sure that people have met each other before and not just assume that they know each other because we're in the same circle or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. And he's good like that. Much love. Yeah. Nothing but love for Krager, man. That guy is more than he is family. He is legitimately
He's
family.
Blushing right now, I think.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Well, let's see. We'll switch it. Let's take a look at some more interiors before we get back to the covers here. So this one I was able to find, the published piece. So this is from, again, page 26 from the upcoming volume 2 edition. So it is on 11 by 17.
Yep.
You can see the published version on the left and as drawn and rendered on the right. You were mentioning that I don't want to draw all these safety deposit boxes onto the page, and you did it all digitally when you're playing around with the colors and whatnot. So it's fun. I'll tell you, the mask image in the center is just very, very striking. That's why I wanted to kind of zoom in on it on the center
this
panel.
was a real turning point for me in this comic. I was really, like I said, I was got precious about everything, and I was really getting a little hyper fixated on like everything being on the page and perfect and whatever. And this one, I drew the guys up top first, and I was working on, and I decided like, you know what, I'm just going to do the safe deposit boxes like on the computer, because I can make it, give it an interesting curvilinear distortion. I can kind of like, which, definitely it's a turning point, in the story, when Mano shows up. And I should also say, story wise too, this issue has 20 pages of kind of main story, and then Mano goes to the premiere of a movie that he has made, which is like a very kind of James Bondy sort of movie. This book all happens in the 60s, and this is a page from the movie within the comic in the stories, and then we have 20 or 40 pages of movie comic, and then we go back to another 20 pages of like kind of the actual story. So this is from the movie within the comic, which is why the color palette is so limited, slightly different art style, but it allowed me to do fun stuff. And this, when I made the decision to like, you know what, I'm going to draw what I need to by hand, and then I'm going to let the computer do the rest so that I can move quickly. And then the way this page came out was like so great that I'm like, oh, I'm just doing this moving forward. And this is the turning point where joy re-entered this project, because I was like 50 pages in and just slogging through it all until I hit this page. And I'm like, this is going to be fun. And that center page of the eyes, there is a really great El Santo movie. I think it's the Dracula's Daughter. I think it's El Santo contra Dracula's Daughter. And there's just a great scene that happens where El Santo's like following someone through some caves, and he stops for a quick moment. He puts his back up against the wall, like kind of to hide in the shadows for a second. And it zooms in on his eyes real quick. And it is a completely different film stock, completely different lighting setup, completely like everything about it, but is the best, most dramatic, great shot of El Santo's eyes, just his eyes, in this great, beautiful black and white from the 60s. It's like they spent their entire day setting that shot up, and then the rest of the chase scene was kind of just whatever, there was like run and gun. And so I kind of wanted to emulate that, this moment where these guys kind of know they're screwed, like that, the kind of look of like, I'm going to destroy you. And also, originally I was going to have him say something. I was going to have him, usted es un muerto or something like that. But I'm like, oh, it'll just be funnier if it's all done visually, because the look of his intent is in his eyes. Like that says everything. But if I am going to add to it, it's just going to be more visual information and not textual information. And so I did the little like the little skull and crossbones, and then gave them a little bit of like Calavera, sugar skull kind of decoration to them, to let you know that like he's not only is he going to kill you, it's going to be a Mexican death. So yeah, I love having fun with things you can only do in comics like this, like jumping out of art styles for just this one quick kind of like those gross out scenes in Ren and Stimpy, like
oh yeah,
that's kind of like what I wanted to do here. So yeah, this whole page really changed my whole attitude toward this project and really put the oh, it's a Treasure of Dracula. Is that the one we're talking? Sorry, I was looking at some comments.
Oh, Newell said he had only seen Santo in the Treasure.
Oh, the Treasure of Dracula. This I know it's a Dracula one, but it's not him versus Dracula. So it might actually be that movie. But listen, I got to tell you, if you're gonna look at El Santo movies, you need to watch versus the Vampire Women. It's like one of his first starring roles where he's not just a backup character, and it ends so great. Like the end of that movie is so not what you expect, and it is fantastic. Every time I see it, I'm like, oh damn, they went there. So yeah, I love El Santo movies.
I'm making a note to try to see if I can look it up.
Oh yeah, it is. I think it might. I'm sorry, looking at another thing here. I think it is Frankenstein's Daughter. It might be that movie. I mean, I'll tell you what. Anyone interested? Yeah, so I think it is Frankenstein's Daughter, if I'm not mistaken. But anyone interested in El Santo movies, on Instagram, there's a comedian named Matt McCarthy, and every Saturday he is going through all 52 El Santo movies week by week by week, and he offers some really good overviews of them, and also like a pretty good rating system on like whether or not they're kind of worth seeing. And you get enough of an overview during his reviews of them that you can kind of decide whether or not you want to see those movies. But yeah, I think within his, God, I'm trying to think. I think whatever the movie is where with the eye shot, I think he does call out that shot where he's like, "Look how glorious the shot is," and that jumped out as me as a kid, and then seeing it again, and that was like, yes, that is a glorious shot. So, oh, the Martian Invasion. I don't know that I've seen the Martian Invasion. I do like El Santo Blue Demon and Mil Máscaras versus, or in the Bermuda Triangle is also one of my favorite ones. Not because anything particularly great happens, but because there's a poolside scene where they're all in their casual clothes. That is, oh, chef's kiss, delicious, man. It is the coolest anyone has ever looked. Is the three of those guys in their poolside casual clothes going to meet up and have their conversation. Sorry, went off on it.
I'm missing out here, Gonzo. That's the thing. I've clearly, because I haven't seen a single one. So now I'm going to have to find something to watch this evening, because I can't go a day now without seeing it.
Yeah, but some of them can be very bad, but the one with, usually if like Fernando Oces is in it, like they're pretty good because he like wrote and produced a bunch of them. But I mean, the one I can absolutely vouch for is versus the Vampire Women. Like it's a tight 89 minutes, so it's not too much of an investment, but it is fantastic.
Yeah, Newell says I have no culture, and that's probably true. But I'm gonna fix at least part of that tonight, Newell. I promise. So that was lot 8. We have lot 9 here. It's $300. It's splash page. It's page 35.
Yep.
From this. I assume this is part of the film within the comic.
It is. Yes, exactly. And this is the American CIA agent getting Mexican secret agent La Mano del Destino to do some work for him in Tangier, and offering him this weapon that has a randomized barrel marks on it, so it can never be traced. To which, El Santo's like, well, if it's an untraceable weapon, it could have only come from one place, making it traceable. So this is him politely declining the special tech, because I really wanted to take the tropes of 60s of 60s James Bond movies and kind of put a little bit of a Chicano spin on them. But there's always those like kind of Q scenes in the Bond movies where he's like, oh, here's the fancy schmancy stuff that we have, and Bond always just like, oh cool, I'll take it all. And I just like the idea of Yeah, like all of that tech, that was supposedly to obfuscate the fact that MI6 was involved was like, well, it could have only come from MI6. So like, why? Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, so I like the idea of Mano being like ahead of the CIA on that. But like, yeah, I don't need your dumb gun. Like, it's just gonna get me in trouble and walking. So this is him politely declining the gun, but his supervisor, the guy behind him, is definitely like into the. He's like, oh, that's kind of a cool device, but yeah,
Wouldn't mind having it for himself.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, and he ends up being more of a friend than anything. But yeah, these finding all the tropes of those movies and then kind of like appropriating them has been the kind of fun, the fun part of like making these sorts of stories, and then having having Mano be famous in that world and making movies allows me to do other genres that don't have to like dovetail into the narrative. They can just be like, oh, it's a movie special. And so, but they also do have themes that will echo in the main story. So it allows me to kind of plant some subtext without, being a little too ham-fisted about it. But yeah, like one of the other things about those James Bond movies is like they always kind of served as like travel logs. And so like, doing like kind of 2-page spreads of just vistas of like far off places is also fun to draw. So yeah, like this is my, my Q and M scene from a James Bond movie. It's like, oh, here's some fun gadgety stuff. Yeah.
This next one is a travel scene, right?
Yes.
So you get the globe, you get the plane, and you get him watch, with a view, with a seat with a view.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a couple of things I'm appropriating here. So there's the map, obviously, which is a great, the seeing those in old movies, like even up until Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? Like seeing like, like going from here to here to here. And like, how do you get from Mexico to Tangier in like 1960 and stuff like that was, and then putting all of the fun like logos and stuff in there. But also, there's a little bit of the kind of, some of that texture on the bottom where I got to use some colored pencil to kind of, add a little bit of interest to how it faded off the bottom of the panel. But then using that great kind of Kirby technique of collage of just like slapping in photographs and stuff. And so, yeah, just getting a royalty-free aerial image of Tangier and then just, running like a halftone filter on it and slapping it in there at wholesale instead of drawing it was that's my homage to all that great Kirby collage stuff from the 60s. Oop, you there? Did I lose you? Uh-oh.
Guy.
Nope. Are you there? You're breaking up.
Yes.
Oh, keep talking. We can hear you. Can people hear me? Okay, there
you
go.
Yes. Yep, we're good now.
Okay. Whew.
All right. Well, this was the last interior page we have to look at. So we're going to look at, I think we have 9 more covers to look at. And so we have a Night Watcher cover. This is from Ninja Turtles. Yep. This is on 8. We're back to the large. So everything else is going to be on the 18 by 24 with the image area that's 13 3/4 by 21 1/2. So this I don't know chronologically, when this would have been done, as opposed to, I know we have some other Ninja Turtles covers to look at as well. But
so these were the very beginning of the Jason Aaron relaunch of the Turtles. So before issue 1 of the Jason Aaron relaunch came out, the Night Watcher special came out. So it was, I'm sorry, that is wrong. It was the Jenica special that came out. This is the last one. So this came out around issue 4 of the main series. So there was the Jason Aaron relaunch 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think this came out the same month as 4. So this would have been 4 months into the Jason Aaron like relaunch.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, Mike, I had that backwards. Yeah. Whew.
Well, Johnny McCloskey has picked this one up, so thank you, Johnny.
Oh, thank you, John.
It's impressive, man. You're gonna want to have it on the wall. That's all I could say. These things are huge.
Yeah, this is fun to do, like the armor as opposed to like the leather around his knees and then the quilting on his chest and stuff. Yeah, again, it's just me going off with texture, like let's make it all look like something different. So yeah, it was fun to do. I keep saying that. Yeah, like honestly, all I'm ever trying to do is steal fun from these. Like I just want to make them all fun.
You're having way too much fun with this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but that's like, I don't want to. I'm drawing comic books. I don't want to be like, I don't want to be bummed out making comic books. It's like literally all I ever wanted to do with my life, and and was told that it was like, it was a dumb ambition to have. And now that it is my life, I'm enjoying every minute of this. It's been fantastic. So I appreciate everyone's support, and I appreciate anyone who's willing to let me do covers for them. And so I think as part of my respect for having worked so long to get here is like, I want to make sure that I can extract joy from everything.
Well, and spreading a little joy at the same time.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, this is one of the San Diego exclusives that I did. Yeah, so this is Hero Tomorrow is the publisher. Ted Sikora does a book called Punchline and the Vaudevillains, and it's a whole lot of mythos that I will screw up if I try to remember it all. However, there was a new villain that was coming, Violante, who was a Mexican folk healer who gets betrayed by a client and then comes back as this undead witch to kind of exact her revenge. And because she is tied to like Latino culture and like Dia de los Muertos, we did this calavera of her. And her skin is normally like super black. And so I wanted to do a black skull with all of the line work being colored. And so this was quite the exercise in remembering that I'm going to reverse out everything. Like, so when spotting blacks, it's more like spotting whites and that sort of thing. So it was, it was a lot to remember, but I think I pulled it off okay.
Oh no, it's fabulous. Fred Dillon says, "Nice cover. I'm friends with Ted and just assumed he would have bought it."
I don't. You know what? Should I even offer it to him? Now I feel bad. No,
Well,
Ted is like more than
generous.
Yeah. Ted's been great about this whole thing. I did a couple signings at his booth, and I think he had a great time. He did some foil versions of this that were exclusive to San Diego that were very nice.
I saw those on your Twitter feed, or X feed. Sorry, I can't.
Yeah. I got down. Like I think I got 5 of them, and I think I have 2 left, or maybe just 1 left. But yeah, those were quite the hit, and like I think Cover Price had them listed as like one of their hot comics that week and stuff. And yeah, it was for an indie publisher to kind of get that attention was like I feel like I did my job right. Like I got some buzz about this, and they are good books. Like I don't want to short sell the books. Like Ted has a whole ecosystem of characters all. I mean, it's a lot more. Like I have a single guy. Like I deal with one wrestler, and he has adventures, and like Ted's got like 7 different people with different motivations and stuff. It is quite the opera of comics, and he's been doing it for years, man, and continues to put them out. He's committed to it, and I appreciate that. He's also been a great guy. He's been fun to work with.
Awesome. This is lot 12, priced at $1,000. So next up, lot 13. So this is the only Star Trek cover you've gotten to work on? Okay. So
I've done a couple. However, the other ones were basically built in pieces.
Okay.
And so like the one I have with 7 of 9 and the kind of space coming out of her mouth, like there's like all the space is on one sheet of paper because I had to put it inside all the stuff coming out, and then her it just has like black coming out of her because I needed to be able to keep her separate from the background, but also put space into the and the same with her girlfriend. It was just like it's so many pieces. Like I thought about trying to all do it on a single piece of artboard, but again, it was just like I got to let the computer do what the computer's good at, and marrying all of those kind of disparate pieces was just going to work better if I did them all separately, because separating them out because of how kind of soft everything was in space, kind of like all the nebula and stuff, like wouldn't have allowed me to get quite the same effect that I got by doing them in separate pieces. So I do have 3 other Star Trek covers. One hasn't been shown yet. This one actually just barely got shown. I was about to maybe message you earlier this week and be like, hey man, we can't actually show this piece, but it turns out they showed it off a couple days ago, and so we're in the clear. We can show this off now. So we just announced
I couldn't find it with like the logo on it. That's why I grabbed this image right here. But
it is part of the big IGN announcement with I think it's Bleeding Cool has all of the catalog update from IDW, and it's like a small image within it has like 5 or 6 or 4 or 5 covers on the one image, and it's like it's there with the trade dress and everything on it. But nice. It's out in the world, so I feel confident in showing this off. And like, big Star Trek fan. My dad was a huge Star Trek fan, especially the original series. And like being able to do like that haircut on a skull was fantastic with the little pointy sideburns that they all had in the 60s. Like this, like, the old school communicator and phaser and stuff. Like, this was, it was fun to do all the the reference on those to like kind of, look up at what all those things look like and then putting them all together. And honestly, like, what better to have like a ofrenda than a red shirt, right? Like remembering all the crew members that we lost was just fun. I had done a quick little sketch of this of a red shirt as a calavera with his hands praying, and it said like "Remember Me" underneath it. And but then when they had me do this one, I thought about redoing it, but I thought this worked a little better with the arms crossed, almost like crossbones underneath him and stuff. And then being able to put the kind of Federation star on his forehead was kind of fun too. So, but yeah, this was a lot of joy in this one, like making this all happen.
No, it's one of my favorites in here, but the next one's really good too. This is from the Crow, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
issue 1 cover. This one's a little bit darker, a little bit more frightening, I guess, at the end of the day. But I love it. I mean, as far as a graphic image, the way you've got the crow in there and just the flames around it, and the way you colored the skull, reversing out the blacks, especially the reds on the forehead. Just I'm not saying it feels demonic, but it has. I love horror movies, so for me, this is a great horror cover.
Yeah, if you're gonna do the Crow, it's like it has to have a certain amount of kind of edge to it, I guess. But I still wanted to maintain the kind of like Mexican kind of folk art stuff that I did. But as soon as I got offered the thing, I was like, well, I'm drawing a crow. Like you can't not have like a big black bird in there. And yeah, I just like the kind of real aggressive, coming at you. And then once I had the kind of crow drawn, I'm like, oh, I could just have like kind of cradle the skull in there. So like the crow lives normally where I would have like a sacred heart or something kind of burning in the center of the chest or what have you. So now it's this is the crow kind of coming out of this coming at you. But yeah, kind of keeping it kind of that Mexican folk art, but then also having that sort of like 80s outlaw comic sort of aesthetic to it. Was a fun like balancing act to kind of pull off. Like I still wanted it to look like me without looking like me doing like a 90s edgy comic, so but also stay true to the kind of the Mexican folk art sort of thing that I normally do. Yeah, it was a interesting balancing act. And then once I did I think the thumbnail on this, once I got like the angle on the skull right, I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna work. Like I can make this happen. And yeah, it was one of those things where I just kind of like was smiling the whole time and stopping every so often. I was like, this is pretty cool. I get to draw a crow cover. We actually ended up doing a black and white version of this too, as one of the cover options. And yeah, I think just the black and white on this is pretty striking too.
It is. It's a very heavy weighted kind of piece for sure. Yeah, I love it. Well, that's awesome. And did this come about because of somebody you knew, or who was the editor that reached out to you?
This is another retailer. Yeah, just was like, hey,
retailer,
it was just like, hey, there's a crow cover available if you want to do one. And I was like, sure, and yeah, there's a lot of like, there was a lot of consideration as to like how much make sure it doesn't look like Brandon Lee was kind of expressed to me. I'm like, well, it's a skull, so like I don't know how much it's going to look like Brandon Lee. So it's like I think I got to get away with a little more just because there was no likeness to be considered, so
right.
But from what I hear, they liked it, which is kind of cool. I always like when I hear that back from I've done a few things like like the some of the Fox stuff that I've done, like the Alien and Predator and stuff, is like Fox I guess doesn't normally have anything other than like approved, not approved, but I've got forwarded a couple of nice notes that they've said about the things I've done with Alien and Predator, and that's like, yeah, it's like those people deal with their own property day in day out, and so they're they can get a little like kind of ho hum about the whole thing, and so to kind of break up their day to go like, oh, this is cool, is like that's a huge win for me, right? Someone who shouldn't care to be like actually express some kind of like appreciation for it. But yeah, from what I hear, this was well liked.
Well, that's always good news.
Yeah.
Let's see, we have 5 more to look at, and I know we have a couple Ninja Turtles here in a row. So this is the first one. It's the cover to issue 23.
Yep. Yeah.
Again,
this was part of.
I love the way you colored it too. Once again.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah. I just wanted to put all that like, I wanted the so I done all the brothers, and they all had different flowers around them when they were when I did those, like it wasn't all marigolds. There was like some chrysanthemums and roses and a couple other things, and so I have since done retailer exclusive. I've done a Casey, and I've done a Shredder, and those all again had different flowers, and so now coming back to actually doing it for IDW was like, oh, I should do I think when they asked me what we should do for the Halloween issue or around Halloween, it's like, oh, we should do a Day of the Dead skull, but I'd like to add, Splinter to the mix, and they were like, oh, perfect. And so kind of deciding, what flowers he got was took a little bit of a minute. I'm like, oh, they should be lotus, it should be a lotus flower, kind of the attached kind of Eastern philosophy that goes with the lotus. And then I'm like, well, there should be smoke coming off of them instead of leaves coming up off of them. And so I wanted him kind of like to maintain a kind of like mysticism about him, and even the marking on his forehead is like reminiscent of a lotus flower. Mm-hmm. And so, I kind of want it, but also has like a third eye kind of quality to it. There's a bit of that. So, I was just trying to make sure that he had the appropriate amount of kind of spiritual leader, and then having to kind of redraw him in the same palette and proportions as all of the other turtle stuff that I had done. It's weird. Like, it'd only been a few years, like maybe 2-3 years since I did the original turtles, but kind of going back to like that scale was a little weird because I'm like, oh, I kind of draw them a little differently now. So it took me a minute to kind of revisit a slightly older approach than the one I'm currently doing. But I have held him up next to the other turtles, and he does work still with the group. So now my next push is I gotta get April done, I think, is the next one I'm gonna try to push for if I get to do another one of these.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, yes. I want to make another set of 4. I want to do the brothers as one set, and then I want to do Splinter, Shredder, Casey, and April as the next set. And then hopefully after that I can do like Bebop, Rocksteady, Jenica, and the metal turtle, the robot one. I can't remember his name right now. But anyway, that's probably that's a 2029 problem, I think, at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
But we have one other turtle cover here. So
yeah. Oh yeah, there you go.
Yep. Issue 2. Is it from the same book or is it a different book?
Oh, this is from the Jason Aaron series. So the first 4 issues of the new relaunch with Jason Aaron were connecting covers, and they started with the Jenica. God, I can't remember what the title of that. There was a Jenica one shot, or she was on the cover of another one shot that preceded the Jason Aaron series, and then I did the first 4 were all one each of the brothers. So I can't remember what order that was in either. So there was Jenica, the 4 brothers, and then the Night Watcher was the end of it. And they were all connecting covers. So you can see the chains. Oh, Raphael was on the first one. So you can see the chains coming off of the Raphael cover kind of in the upper left. And then you can see Leo's headband. He's sitting in this kind of like lotus position, like he's coming in on the right. Yeah, so those are like the 2 little remnants of the covers next to it, and the mic cord goes off into the Leo cover that's next to it. But yeah, so the first 4 issues of the Jason Aaron series connect, and then on either end of those connects the Jenica one shot and the Night Watcher one shot, kind of make this 6-issue connecting cover for those. And I ended up doing issue 5 as well, but it was a Christmas cover, and it doesn't connect to anything. It's just a standalone. Yeah.
As
so yeah, I did exactly. I didn't
get
to draw the bust.
A lot of the texture, right? I was gonna say a lot of the texture done in the coloring process, but you knew that going in. I mean, that would have been a lot of work to.
Yeah, separating that out would have been just a bear to draw all of that stuff, and then but I did draw it all. I think, if I'm not mistaken. Some of that is digital. I think all the what's it called, the cherry blossoms. I think I did that all by hand, if I'm not mistaken, and I might have drawn the other one by hand and then just tiled it in. Mm-hmm. In Illustrator or something, and then but the gene textures on the page and all that sort of thing. So it was also weird because I guess Mikey's like hanging out in Japan and was just like having a good time, and so it's like just draw him casual Mikey. I'm like, okay, like he's not in any kind of he doesn't even have his bandana on. So this was fun to do. I keep saying that, but this was everything's got its own challenge, but making him look joyous, I think that might have been every time I see the turtles, they're like gritted teeth and kind of, like ready to fight. And to have him singing karaoke and having a good time without his mask on was a real challenge. And I'm pretty happy with how it came out.
I'm sure they were as well. I mean, no, it's totally fun. And you're right. It's not a scene that I think I've seen a turtle in ever.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's see. Lot 17 is next, and this is the Twilight Zone cover. This is sort of recent-ish, right?
Yeah. I think that was earlier. Honestly, I feel like that was earlier this year, which seems like 9 years ago to me. But this was the Gabe Hardman story that he did. It's about this old actor who's at some kind of fan convention. He had been a prestigious actor, but then did this really cheesy movie with this crab monster in it. and like that's become his life. Like now all he's doing is kind of, you know, doing conventions with about the crab monster movie he made, you know, like one time in the 50s or whatever. And then he like somehow travels back in time to when that movie is being made, and he tries to oh, it was a month or two ago. Shit, sorry. So I just saw that note. Yeah, God, that seems like 9 years ago, but I think it was just a couple months ago. Anyway, he goes back in time.
You might have drawn it 9 months ago. You never know.
That's the thing too, is, you know, we do these so far ahead of time too. It's like I sometimes literally forget that, like I did a cover. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, that is coming out. Yeah, so the guy goes back in time and then like is trying to prevent the what's it called, the movie from ever being made, and then like, you know, it's got a very O. Henry kind of, you know, sort of ending to it. But this is fun because I really wanted to like, I wanted it to be black or white, like, you know, it was a black and white cover, and I could have used grayscales, but I used all like zipatone and hatching and all these different art styles. Like, you know, there's the pointillism on his jacket because I wanted to like look kind of like tweed. There's all the great brush work, and I really wanted to get like an EC comic kind of brush work to like the face that I made. And then there is a little bit of like colored pencil and like actually it's all colored pencil on the monster. But then taking that into Photoshop and then adding those like screen tones on top of it to kind of set it back to kind of separate him from the, you know, this is one of those things where like I kind of knew what I was going to do digitally before I started working, you know, physically. Like, you know, there's that like kind of shade in the in that spray can that's like nearest to him. Looks like it has like a really harsh white highlight on there. I was like, well, I knew I was going to put like a 75% zip tone in there to kind of, you know, give it like a little bit of like reflected light kind of, but I didn't want to like draw all those dots by hand because then it would just look like pointillism and look like a tweed jacket. So yeah, just sorting out all the different, like what's going to happen on the page, what's going to happen digitally, but also kind of having like a sort of EC comic sort of feel to it was a bit of a challenge, and I am pretty happy with how this came out.
Yeah, well, we had Gabriel on last week, and we know he loves you know, things from the 50s and 60s. He had a nice Kolchak page, and you know, and obviously he writes a lot of you know, he writes as much as he illustrates, right? So
yeah.
I can see this kind of a story being right up his alley.
Yeah, I ran into him in San Diego, and he said he liked it. I mean, at least that's what he told me. So, but yeah, it was cool to, yeah, because it was funny. I had done a signing with him for the Godzilla versus LA. We did a signing together, and then we all kind of hung out afterward. And, you know, in talking to him, it sounded like he was kind of backing out of comics a little bit, like was going to be doing less, or he sounded a little bit like he didn't sound as busy as he's become, to be honest with you, I guess is what it was. And then when I got the opportunity to do this cover, I was like, oh, Gabe's writing it, you know? And then when I saw him, like, I'm like, dude, I thought you were kind of taking a break. And he's like, well, you know, and then he's like, you're doing like 9 comics right now. And he's like, you know, like, it was funny. Like, because literally the last time I talked to him was him telling me how he was kind of like ramping down kind of some work. And then the next thing I see about him is like these, you know, 7 different projects he's part of, including a thing I did a cover for. And then he just kind of gives me this like shoulder shrug when I see him, like, what can you do? But I think, you know, it is, opportunities show up and you got to seize them, right? No matter how busy you are or how much you wanted to take a break. You're like, well, I'm not going to not draw, not write a Twilight Zone comic. So, yeah, good guy. I like Gabe a lot. Like we, you know, he's, we had some good conversation that night. He's a good dude.
He definitely is. I was, first time I got to talk to him was last week too, but it was fun. Yeah, it definitely has an interesting career in film and in comics.
Yeah.
So this one's a Marvel one though. So you did a series of 3 White Tiger kind of team up covers, and this was the FF one. I know there was what was there? There was a Hulk and
Spider-Man,
and a Spider-Man one.
Yep.
So yeah, this is cool. Love the way it was colored again. I mean, this is like black light poster-ish kind of vibe to it. Just.
Did I lose you? Is that just me?
Oh, nope. Mine cut out that time. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm back.
Okay. Fair enough.
So on this one, I mean, you don't even need to draw a background, right? I mean, the characters are so strong. I think that's what you know, really helps carry this piece. I mean, the Thing has enough detail in them. I mean, that's awesome. The Thing
I had to. They each had these tigers behind them, and I really wanted to kind of have this like almost like they were in front of like a sheet of tattoo flash or something. So I had these kind of like more kind of tattooy drawings behind them. And I had done a couple different versions, and they really latched on to this. They like the idea of those tigers, like, and they all have the tigers themselves have different personalities. And so they like that kind of like mimicking the tigers, the white tigers that are, the 3 different white tigers that were in the team up book. So yeah, this was cool to draw Ben. It's one of those things where whenever you get a chance to draw these iconic characters, you're like, well, how do I draw the rock rock monster and the brow without completely aping Jack and or Byrne or whoever else, these kind of the quintessential Fantastic Four artists were. So yeah, like deciding on how I wanted to draw the rock texture was fun, but ultimately went with that kind of like sort of a Jack approach, but then adding some of that woven hatch stuff that I do to kind of give it a little more kind of craggle to it, was what I ultimately ended on. And then I really like the juxtaposition with like kind of how like kind of sleek and angular she is, as opposed to him being this kind of big, hunched over like lump of rock underneath her, like I and then her like using him to kind of springboard off of, because he is just the base, for her. Like she seems like a little more precise a weapon than he is. He's a little more blunt instrument, and yeah, but throw in a little bit of like reflected light, a secondary light on him to pull up. We ended up doing that, I think, with every one of these had that green secondary light, because I wanted the glow of the kind of white tiger energy to kind of be reflected on the characters to make them see a little less like stacked on top of each other and a little more kind of environmental. But yeah, but having the reflected light on the thing was cool to do, to figure out like how the plates would catch light, because they're all just at like one flat kind of angle, and having those kind of hard seams along them kind of sells the idea that he is kind of made of rock.
Oh, it definitely did. And number one Marvel fan said it feels like a Frank Miller pose on the thing, and I can see why he says that.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of. Yeah. I think I had initially. I think I might have had him like either going off the page or something, and I think Marvel was like, "Can we just get him hunched over more?" And I'm like, "Okay, like like yeah, we can." And then once someone tells you to hunch him over like that, you can't help but think of that Dark Knight cover, right? Like,
of course,
like, yeah. So I mean, that's in everybody's collective head, but it wasn't 100% intentional, but it wasn't accidental either. We'll say that.
Good observation, Tom. So let's see. We have one final cover to show, and again, just fun. And I love the fact that you did the jacket all digitally. It allows you to do a lot of stuff there with the layering, but the things that you chose to render on the piece just make it so special. The tonal work on the character, and just the fun shading. And again, this is one that isn't symmetrical at the end of the day. When we were looking at a lot of the other ones, they were. This is you just kind of doing something that feels different from a lot of the other covers we were looking at.
Yeah, I really wanted to. This is Kyle Starks' Wrestle Heist, which is a great comic. I mean, yes, I have contributed to the backup matter in it, but I can vouch for the fact that like, any Kyle Starks book is going to be fun. It's just yeah, it is a fun book. Absolutely recommend it. Everyone should read it. It's like a kind of return to form for Kyle too. Like it's just this kind of fun sort of sex castle-ish book that he was doing, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. It's also wrestling, which he loves, and in the book there is a luchadors, which is why he asked me to draw it. And then it is a father-son. It's like a legacy character. They go looking for the father because they're these old wrestlers who are trying to put a heist together, and they go looking for the father, and he's like, yeah, I can't help you, but my son can help you. And so this is showing both versions of the Ocho Boro. And there's a really great book of photography of luchadors from, I mean, like starting in the 60s, or maybe like the 70s, like 70s and 80s. And it's just these great portraits. And it's a lot of them are these like almost like corporate portraits of these luchadors, where it's like, this is the photo you would see in the lobby of the corporation of like our founder, right? So they're just sitting there, with their hands kind of crossed, and then, in their suits with their masks on. And I kind of wanted that sort of like almost a corporate portrait of the father version of the Calavera behind the young kind of hot shit son there, who's like a little more flamboyant than the dad is and stuff. And this kind of juxtaposition of styles it comes through in both the characters and in the way that I rendered them. And so so much so that like it's almost like the calavera is very much my kind of Mexican folk art style, and then the younger son is kind of just done in my regular, like I would draw a comic book style, but then I use the colored pencil to kind of give it that shading to even further separate the two of them. Even though they do have similarities in their costuming and their gimmick, they are two very different people, and one literally looms over the other.
Oh, I love it. And I love the color choices on this one too. I mean, just the the turquoise with the orangey red. I mean, it just the minimal palette makes it work. Gives it a sense of that there's some kind of vintage quality to it too.
Oh yeah. There's I mean, I get it. Kyle had he was turquoise to begin with. Like that was always like the turquoise was there, but I picked that orange to really complement, use a complementary color to kind of pop it off and give it a lot of dynamism. But yeah, I do love that book of portraits is very similar to that, where it's like a lot of times it'll be like the character will be on a kind of shade or tint of the color of the suit that he's wearing. Like the background is just that. They're very very kind of stark kind of God, what is that color style from the 60s? I can't think of the name of it. A Technicolor. Like there's a Technicolor kind of quality to it, and I was trying to emulate a lot of that in the execution of this.
Well, you definitely got it on this one. So it's this one's $1,200, lot 19, and it's the final lot that we have to look at this afternoon. So let me see, get over to here. I can turn that one off. So anything that's not sold, obviously we're going to post those over to the CAF gallery, and those are going to go get pushed out to all the premium members and everybody who's watching the CAF gallery. So for those of you who haven't been able to tune in and watch this thing live, you're going to be getting an email probably before before you even get a chance to watch the show. But I would remind everybody who is watching this on the rewind that the link in the show description will take you over to the CAF gallery so you can see those pieces. And again, if you have any other questions about the pieces, you're more than welcome to ask. The scans are going to be, I mean, you can see there's so much detail in these that it's so hard to see when we're showing them up on a television screen or whatever monitor you're looking at through this. So we have really good scans that will get posted to CAF. So if you want to like zoom in and just see Gonzo's style in there, whether it's the pointillism pieces or the woven crosshatch work that you've done. I mean, a lot of that's just so hard to come across when we're showing this stuff on a live stream like this. Let's see here, but I want to remind everybody the piece is still available. We'll just go through them real quick, and then these will get posted to CAF within the next hour. So we've got the art book cover that's going to be coming out later this year or early in 2027. Follow Gonzo on X or Instagram to stay updated and when this book comes out. Then we also have the Beneath the Trees cover, lot number 2. The Conan cover that is not Marvel. Sorry about that earlier. For lot number 3. And then we have a couple dork covers, the cover to issue 5 and the cover to issue 6 for lots 4 and 5. And the DPS from Destino, and that is lot number 6. And Marcelo picked up lot number 7. We appreciate that. We have lot number 8. That's page 26 from Destino at $200, and lot number 9 is page 35 from that book, and it is $300. And also $300 is lot 10, which is page 37 from Destino. Then we, what was it? Johnny got lot number 11. So lot number 12 is the Punchline cover, priced at $1,000. 13 is the Red Shirts cover, priced at $2,000. And we've got lot 14, the Crow, $2,500 for that one, as well as $2,500 for lot 15, which is the cover to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 23. Let's see, lot 16, $800 for the cover to issue 2 of Ninja Turtles. And then 17 was Twilight Zone cover from a Gabriel Hardman story. Then lot 18 was the White Tiger team up with the Fantastic Four. If you haven't seen the other 2 covers, I would definitely encourage you to go seek them out. The Hulk one was, I love the way you drew the Hulk. he was a monster.
Yeah. I like that early 60s Kirby with the low brow and the square head.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I totally, I love the way Kirby drew the Hulk, and you captured it really, really well. And then the last piece here is lot number 19, the Wrestle Heist number 2 cover. And again, those are all on 18 by 24. And I'll probably, when I post these up to CAF too, I might, the pieces that have the prelims on the back, I'll probably flip them over and do like a photograph of them so people can get a good feel for.
I have the sketches and stuff too. I didn't want to like overwhelm you with all of that stuff, but like I typically sell when someone buys something, like they have everything. So let me know the ones that sold today and I'll see if I still have like the sketches or the thumbnails or whatever. And then you can offer those. If I do have them, I'll offer them up to whoever bought them. And then what was I going to say? And then if anyone buys anything like moving forward, if I do have still have the thumbnails or the Love My 17 or tracing paper, whatever, like I'll just offer that to whatever, whoever buys them, if they want them or not. So yeah, I typically offer them up when someone buys a piece from me, and then sometimes they want them, sometimes they don't. So, but I never sell them separate from, like, if someone buys a piece and doesn't want the prelims, like I'm not going to sell the prelims separate and away from like, it's
better to keep them together and not separate. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. As collectors, there's cases where sometimes the prelim, is very finished, and it's always a surprise when you find that you sold this really finished piece that's close to the published original, and you almost feel disappointed that you didn't get the chance to pick it up at the same time.
So anyone watching, if you buy something and I do have the thumbnails or whatever, we'll put that. We can package that up as well if they still exist. Some of them just don't have, like they didn't make it. Like, like I was saying, sometimes I have to cut stuff out. And so if I have a piece that's like too far gone, I'll just pull it off the back and pitch it. But but if I have them, people are welcome to them.
Okay. Awesome. Gonzo, well, this was fun, man. I was tried to make a point of trying to seek you out while I was in San Diego, and everything went sideways, but I'm glad we got to finally see each other here and do this show. It was fun getting to show off your art.
Thanks, man.
If there's when it comes time to either getting the art book out there or the Destino, let me know. We can always get it slid into Comic Card Fans News as well to get some extra eyeballs on it.
That'd be fantastic. We appreciate that. Thank you so much, man.
Do you kickstart it all, or do you crowdfund it?
So I kickstarted the Mano trade paperback.
I thought I remember reading that. Yeah.
Oh, I had like 500 backers or something, and I am down to like, I got screwed on this mask maker, and so like the last 50 of them I've been holding on to for like year 5 or 6 now, and so I hooked up with the mask maker recently. I'm trying to I'm not going to do any more crowd. And then I did a Zoop campaign for issue 1 of series 2 of Mano, and then that has been like a whole, like a lot of stuff happened in my life that derailed me, and so
and that was one of them.
Yeah, well, there was that, but also, I mean, like my dad died and a few other things. So it's been, and then as soon as I started kind of like making like progress toward fulfilling those, and I got super busy. So it's like, I need it. Like, anyway, I'm not going to crowdfund anything in the future, I think, at all. Like it's just going to be available as is. And I'm definitely going to at least get these 2 crowdfunded things done and closed before I ever think about crowdfunding anything in the future. But I feel like, as a rule, I don't think I'm crowdfunding, because it's like the second I do that, something happens, and then like I get derailed, and it's just like, and I feel bad. I mean, like I have boxes of the Mano trade sitting here, like the last 50. I do have a mask maker I talked to recently. I'm hoping to have that buttoned up by like the end of the year, but I really would love to go into 2027 without anything over my head, and then just spend an entire year with just nothing over my head, So if I was to crowdfund anything ever, it's going to be in like 2030. Like I just
you've earned some time off, I think.
There's that, but there's also like, I mean, that's why I don't take, if anyone gets commission from me, which I'm behind on commissions too. I've got like 4 of them I need to finish, but I took money for commissions for like Heroes, and I broke my arm like 2 weeks later or something, and then I was behind by like 6 months of rehab, and so I just like, the second I get prepaid, something happens in my life, and so I now am like, when people want to prepay me for stuff, I'm like, don't do that. When I'm done, you can pay me. It's the same with my covers, all the stuff I do. It's like, I won't take money until I'm done, because I'm just so behind on so many things, and I don't like feeling like that kind of asshole who just like took money and then didn't deliver. So, well,
you don't need any other tragedy or broken bone, or God only knows what the next thing might be.
Exactly. Yeah. So
you're doing yourself a favor by not doing that.
Yeah. So no more crowdfunding, no more payment ahead of time, none of that stuff. Yeah. For now on, like with the art book, like I'm gonna print it myself. I'm gonna have a certain amount of them, and I will put them up for sale. And that way, if you want one, you can pay cover price. You don't have to like wait and hope that it gets done, yada yada. Like I can't. prepayment is just makes my heart palpitate now. Like I can't deal with that. So yeah, yeah. So but when it does happen, when the book is together and printed and in my hand, then I will have them available for sale. But honestly, I think those I might only sell at shows. Like I don't know that I want to like be in the business of like fulfillment and stuff. So
yeah,
that might be a thing you need to get from me, just personally or whatever. But I don't know. I do have like, a good retail partner with the exclusive covers that I do. So I might give her a few to like sell on her site and stuff because she is set up for like logistics and things. So anyway, yeah, that's just me being, mildly neurotic about my art, but it's just like, yeah, anyone watching who I'm behind and I owe stuff to, I know I'm behind. I do beat myself up every day about it. I am working toward getting caught up on anyone I owe anything to. And I am very sorry for all of my flaky artist nonsense. So
as long as you communicate, you're always on the right side of things. That's my best advice. I could tell you I'm in enough collector groups where that's that's the thing that drives them crazy. They might, it's like just let them know where you're at.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I should follow up with that other mask maker and see where they're at, and then maybe send a post out about those because it's been a few years. So I need to. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, that's just me thinking out loud on the show.
No, not at all. Hey, it was my question to you. So all right, well, cool. So but we're here when we're happy to help out. But again, everybody watching, follow the link in the show description. You'll be able to see the pieces. I'll have them posted by 5 p.m. Eastern because I kind of prepped the room and everything for it. So within the hour, everything will be up there. And if anybody has any questions, you can email me directly through the site, or the email address is sales@comicartfans.com. And of course, for Marcelo and Johnny, I mean, we've emailed numerous times in the past, but shoot me an email after the show. Give me your mailing address as well, and then that way we can square away payment. And I can get these pieces in the mail to you early next week. And again, Gonzo, lots of fun, man. And I appreciate you doing this with me. And we will we'll hang out for a few minutes in the green room, and we'll do this. But everybody, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see.